You know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Lucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men. We will graduate players. And we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Been in college baseball for a while now, but I've never experienced anything like 12th man.
The other schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
this one's special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
The epitome of what this team has done, right? Gavin homers, Jace homers, Braden homers, Chris Cortez, 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
It's getting old. Doing the show by myself here in the studio while Olin gets to enjoy beaches and margaritas and late night parties with all the athletic directors, probably Chris Del Conte, hanging out on the beach with OB. I can't deal with that. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour, presented by the warehouse at CC Creations. Hey, OB, how late did you party last night?
It must have been great parties because I can't remember any of that.
How's your time over there, buddy?
Again, the venue is awesome. We just don't get a chance to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Unless you really like the basement of a real nice hotel.
I mean, but you could go outside and see the beach, right? How close are you to the beach?
I can see it. It's kind of like Moses, you can see the promised land. You just don't ever get to cross into it. And that's kind of the situation here. I have not set foot on sand since I've been here.
Wow. Have you at least had good food?
I've had good food. I had some char-grilled oysters last night.
Oh, wow. Big time, buddy. Hey, so you had the good fortune of talking to Trev Alberts on a couple of different occasions. We had so much Elko stuff yesterday because we kept it football. There's some things from yesterday that we didn't get to, and then some new things that developed last night or whenever you spoke to him. So let's get into those. But the big headline that the entire college football world was talking about, because they're all clamoring for stuff, right? They all want something. It's the off season, even though there's things happening, they need things. He said, I believe it was on Tuesday, we don't have a revenue problem in college athletics. We have an expense problem. And just a little bit further on what you heard from Trev Alberts there on that.
Well, I mean, he told the truth. I find it interesting that he's talking about, college athletics has an expense problem, meaning they spend too much money. And he did it at a place that's a hotel where it's like $600-800 a night for a room right now, right? College sports have always been extravagant. I've seen some conferences have stuff at the Biltmore Hotel in Colorado Springs. They never have this in Jackson, Mississippi,
right?
But
or in just a regular hotel, right, OB? Like one that we get for our families when we go with the 2 queen beds, and maybe you get the coffee machine. Maybe.
Right. College sports waste a lot of money. They do. Look, and Texas A&M is among the worst. I mean, think about how many schools, I think Auburn and A&M come to mind, that have paid coaches multi-million dollars not to coach. Well, we're not winning enough, so we're going to fire you and just pay you off. And by the way, that means I'm paying for all your assistants to buy them out as well. And it's huge amounts of money, not even to coach. And then, of course, I mean, this is a drop in the bucket, but, Jimbo Fisher, hey, they indulge him. Say, hey, you want to take your guys out on Thursday for an extra day for a game when everybody else in the world goes on the day before the game? Okay. You pay Appalachian State $1.5 million to come down to College Station to beat you, and Trev said, hey, look, in the future, it's inevitable. We're going to schedule 9 conference games so we don't have to pay other, smaller teams, smaller conference teams to come and play us. That's one less game that you have to, pay somebody a guarantee to come to your place. So, you can go on and on. It's not just A&M where money is thrown around like politicians, because they always figure, well, the donors always give enough, or we'll get the money somehow. And Trev spoke at length. I had him on a video where he's talking about donor fatigue, and how much they appreciate them, and people are generous, and how giving Aggies are because they want to win and everything. But at some point, the donors are like, hey, how many times are you going to reach in my pocket?
Well, it works.
So, they think that, especially when they see the waste that goes on other places. So yeah.
Oh, well, think about it, OB. Like, hey, we want Schloss to get this stadium. All right, let's get some money here. Hey, softball, we're close. We're close to getting this. Okay. Volleyball, we've got a chance to win a national championship. We can add this player. Golf, we just got so close to winning a national championship. Let's do it again. Tennis just won. How do we and then facilities, NIL, there's all this. Eventually, okay, guys, can you go to somebody else, please?
Yeah, and I will say this about Trev. He said, facilities sometimes are a little bit different, because do you invest in the facilities if it means that you're going to be a better product and be able to make more money? And in some cases, yeah, that's true. I mean, look at Kyle Field. They invest heavily in it. And, what used to be 80,000, now it's not uncommon to say 100,000. So you're making 20,000 filling 20,000 more seats. That's not insignificant. So I think he's just talking about, you got to be just smarter moving forward the way you spend your money.
Well, here's one from your article last night. Are you ready for Kyle Field at Bucky Stadium? Limits will be pushed. And it could be HEB, it could be Bucky's, it could be 100 things. Yeti, right? But that being said, that it's going to be weird when and if it happens, but that's the future.
Well, yeah, we already have Bluebell Park.
Right.
Syracuse has the Carrier Dome, Carrier air conditioning. Kentucky has Kroger Field. But I wonder if you'll see more universities, more athletic programs become affiliated or partnership with corporations, to naming rights and different things like that. I hope not. But once again, it may be something that's inevitable. But because they got that Trev says is probably $21.5 million starting in, I think, 2025, that you got to add to the budget, the revenue distribution, right? Now, you can raise that money other ways. You can have a George Strait concert, or you can cut some of your fat, some of your expenses, and Trev's been working on doing that as well.
Yep. It's weird, OB, that we're having these discussions, and then you go back to the very first thing that Trev said that you commented on, there's an expense problem, right? They're spending too much money in areas. I don't see what those areas are, but you think about the numbers that we're talking about, $20.5 million for student athletes, and hotels here and hotels there, and travel and expenses based on the staff that you've hired. And then you're spending $74 million on Jimbo Fisher for the next few years. All these things, that is...
After spending $10 million to Kevin Sumlin not to coach.
And here we are. And it's not just us.
It was best I was on.
Right.
So I think what you'll see, one of the things you'll see in the future is, I believe, not the huge buyouts. I don't think everybody's going to be a slave to Jimmy Sexton anymore. And it'll be, hey, if this contract is lucrative, the coach is still going to make a lot of money. But I'm not going to say, hey, there's this colossal buyout to fire you, and we're not going to give you a 10-year deal.
I wonder if we knew.
You're not going to get huge raises just because you do the job you're supposed to do.
So I'm fairly sure they knew when the administration got rid of Jimbo. I'm fairly sure they knew this day was coming, that there's going to be $20 million that they're going to be having to spend every year. But I'm curious if everybody knew that was coming sooner than later, if they would have maybe paused on Jimbo.
Maybe. maybe, but I can't crawl into anybody's mind. Of course, there were enough people frustrated that privately that I think would contribute to moving the coach along, but it's just, but it's the way, it's not just, again, A&M, it's the way college athletics has operated for so long. And they realize, hey, we're not going to be able to continue to operate that way forever. And look, it's going to be like Trev said, it's probably about $21.5 million you got to pay. But 3 years later, I guess it comes open again, and they have to discuss it, and it'll go up. You think it's always going to be $20 million that they're going to?
It's going to keep going up.
It's going to keep going up, so, and they have to be ready for that. And you can't do that if you're wasting money in other areas.
Well, I wonder if this is going to do away with a lot of neutral site games. Because obviously we're seeing the demise of A&M versus Arkansas. I don't know if demise is the right word at Jerry World, but there's a lot more money having it at Kyle Field than there is at Jerry World.
Not only that, I've been saying this forever. The first thing I'd do is I would call up Baylor and say, hey, let's play basketball. And then maybe call up Texas Tech, say, let's play basketball. So I'll play at your place the year Baylor plays at my place, and I'll play at Baylor the year Texas Tech play. The type of non-conference game that will actually draw fans to. So you can make more money in basketball by bringing in the close opponents that quite frankly everybody hates. So I think smarter scheduling will be a factor as well.
OB, on roster limits, I kind of read what coaches say, all the coaches, and I'm like, they're not getting rid of walk-ons. Then I read administrators, and they don't say it's going away, but they don't say it won't either. It's more like, well, yada, 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 we got to see.
We're going to open conversation. We're going to listen to everybody, but times are changing, and we got to do something. And what I come away from is there's going to be roster limits. I really believe, from what I'm hearing people say, I'm talking about administrators and commissioners and things like that, they're at some point in the not too distant future, a year or two, they're going to come and say, there's roster limits. Now, what are those roster limits going to be? We hear 85, just scholarship. Well, maybe it'll be 95. You can bring in 10 walk-ons, because right now they have 100 and something. You can have 100 and something players. That's why you'll have Anaya Smith wearing number 0 on offense and Walter Nolan wearing number 0 on defense, right? Because you have more than 100 players. So, but I do believe that there will be roster limits.
Well, and if so, I don't know what that number could look like, but you can't get rid. Like, is 10 enough? OB, like just two guys talking here on the show. Is 10 enough? I forget what the practice squad limit is for the NFL, but call it 15 guys. Just call it for 15 guys. I think you need enough for each position to be the practice squad, right?
Unless, if you got 85 players, that means you can go 3 deep at every position, and some guys would play both. Like, if my left guard got hurt and I got all the way down to the 4th left guard, and I don't have a 4th left guard, I move one of my right guards over to play it. I guess we all saw the movie Rudy, where the guy says, as a walk-on, you're valuable to us because we don't care if you get hurt.
Yep.
You're a tackle dummy. Well, maybe you just don't have to have tackle dummies. Real ones. And maybe those scholarship players that you don't want them hurt, maybe they have to in this scenario play that role.
I got the number, OB. Right. I got the number. 12.
What's the number?
The number's 12. That's how many people your walk-ons you're allowed to have.
I'm okay. 12th man, absolutely.
Everywhere though.
Makes sense.
And then all around the world, when they think about their 12, they think about us because we're the ones who started it. The home of the 12th.
I like that idea. I really wonder if they'll say, I tell you what, we're going to have a walk-on program, but we're going to reduce the scholarships to 80. I wonder if that ever becomes an issue, because then they can say, yeah, but because we reduce the scholarships to 80. No one has said that. I'm just kind of speculating. Then we can take out 5 women's scholarships and still be compliant to Title IX. Look, we just saved 10 scholarships. How much money does that equal?
All right, Obi, when well, we're not going to go to the break yet, but I got some other things from Trev, but more on the baseball front I want to get with you before we bring in Schloss. Just for the programming update, Obi's going to join us till about 8:30. Schloss going to join us at that point because they've got stretch and other things going on when he normally joins us. So we'll do Schloss at 8:30. Obi will join us for the Stephen McGee segment at 9 o'clock. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. 979-693-1150 is the phone number. You can call us. You can text us. Let's go around the room and say hi to the people. We say hi to, is it Matthew Dawson or is it Nick Savage back
It's
there?
Nick Savage,
Oh,
yeah. It usually would be Cade on a Thursday, but he's traveling back from the, Club Baseball World Series where A&M unfortunately did fall. They didn't take it all, so didn't keep the national championship streak going, but it's okay. They still made us proud up there. But, hey, something that y'all touched on briefly that I think's a good thing when it comes to all this revenue stuff is y'all mentioned no more neutral site games. I think that's a win overall for college football and college football fans. I mean, I'd much rather see all these big-time games played in home environments. You know, maybe like the Red River rivalry or whatever it is now, that should stay at the Cotton Bowl. But, like, I don't know. It seems like Florida, Georgia, that would be, better suited going home and home. So, well, I don't know.
So let me take this in parts, OB, because there's the traveler in me that enjoys going to big cities from time to time after, living the SEC life, right? Like, I don't mind going to Miami or to Denver for games. But does it really make sense, right? Like, it's one thing here's one. If you're going to do it, you got to go overseas, okay? And it's got to, I said it. Yeah, I saw your head flinch. Overseas, and there's got to be a bigger payout for the schools. It's got to be worth their time.
You're talking basketball, I guess.
I'm talking football, too. A game in London.
Football overseas.
Yeah, no, we're going to London.
Like when Notre Dame and was it played in Ireland?
Ireland, yeah. Great idea.
Now, I mean, if the hosting country wants to pay you enough to make it worth your while, yeah.
Have you seen how much money is being spent in the Middle East for sporting events? I'm not suggesting we go there, but I'm just saying, like, they're spending a lot of money on UFC, on soccer, everywhere. And it's going to eventually come to college football.
Maybe. I mean, like I said, Notre Dame's played at Ireland now. Is another team besides Notre Dame going to draw in Ireland? I think the outdoor cocktail party will probably stay in Jacksonville, even though there's always talk about them going home and home. I think Texas and Oklahoma will stay in Dallas. I do believe that, and there may be some others I'm just not thinking of, but and I think the games in Miami and Denver will still happen. Miami especially because that's their home stadium, even though it's the pro stadium. But I do think that at least I hope they get away from the non-conference and early conference games in a pro stadium because I think college football should be played on campuses.
100%. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. That's where we find Callie Gardner. Aggies gather at the Angry Elephant. Callie, good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
It's good. How are you?
I'm sunburned, but I'm good.
Oh, humble brag like OB, right? Hotel room in Florida. What were you doing?
What was I doing?
Yeah.
I was hanging out with fellow TexAgs employee at the pool.
Oh, huh. I didn't know that you hung out with all the management upstairs.
Kay Nagley.
Oh.
My good friend Kay Nagley.
My good friend.
Yeah.
I had this image of Lucci saying, "Hey, put some lotion on my back."
Stop. What do we got, Kelly?
So, Aggie softball ace Emily Kennedy was named to the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association All-American second team, and she is the first Aggie left-handed pitcher to earn All-American honors in 41 years, joining Lori Stoll as the only lefties in Texas A&M history to achieve All-American status. And A&M's reigning individual national champion, Adela Cernasek, is teeing off today in the 79th U.S. Women's Open at the Lancaster Country Club. And as we all know, she shot 12 under 276 at the 2024 NCAA Championships to win the national championship, which was the lowest winning score since 2016. And she currently ranks as the number 15th golfer on the World Amateur Golf Ranking.
Excellent stuff. Anything else?
Really awesome. I mean, yeah, we've got the baseball regional here this weekend. It starts tomorrow. A&M is hosting Grambling, Louisiana, and Texas, and the College Station Regional is matched up with the Santa Barbara Regional. And I'm really hoping the weather holds up. I haven't really looked into it. I've been told it's not looking great, but hopefully it'll be a great weekend at the baseball park.
Awesome stuff there, Callie. Thank you very much. I said awesome stuff there. So that's for Billy. That's a double, there squared. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back. Pardon?
They're there. Don't worry about it.
Here, there, and everywhere, OB. Just like the Association of Former Students. Hey, we're speaking about them, by the way. Career opportunities. OB, one day, you know what? Maybe you take two jobs. All right, you write for TexAgs, and then you work at the Association of Former Students, even though you're not a former student, because they're looking to hire professionals. You're some semi-professional, right? Half the time.
I'm a pro.
Yeah, well, you're flip-flops right now at work, no doubt. They're looking to hire professionals everywhere. Marketing, fundraising, former student programs. They are the premier association and the oldest organization serving A&M in support of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here. And you don't want to miss out on these awesome opportunities to help out the association with Howdy Socials, Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that Aggie network. So if you're interested in joining a team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/associationjobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. TexAgs Radio, presented by who, OB? Who's the show presented? The big sponsor, I forget.
David Gardner?
Yeah, that's right. That's right, the jeweler. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, the gym of a guy.
Yeah. And this hour itself, though, has a name.
Yeah, Go Hour.
Yeah.
CC Creations.
Yeah, the Go Hour CC Creations. That's exactly the name. In the
We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Yeah, Rollo Insurance Studio. I didn't know. Sorry. I just,
Hey, you know what else? I thought, you talk about being envious of me being here, and I'm telling you I'm not on the beach, but you know what I did? You know what else I had last night for dinner? Along with my char-grilled oysters?
Café cubano.
What?
Cuban coffee.
Gumbo.
Oh, snap.
You're the gumbo guy.
Yeah, with rice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big shrimp.
It's good. It was just more of a seafood gumbo, but yeah, there was shrimp in it.
I'm also a bisque guy, as you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say, people ask me what kind of guy you are. I say he's a bisque guy.
I don't think anybody's ever asked you, hey man, how's Nuño? Is he?
Actually, I get that a lot.
Do you really?
Yeah, I really do.
Is he really as mean in person? No, I'm nice.
I tell him that you're a good guy. I do.
I appreciate that. It's not true. Hey, let's talk about upgrades to Bluebell Park. You spoke with Trev yesterday about that. He says there's a real opportunity for us to do some things that can take an already awesome facility to another level. We need to first find out what interests our fans, what is our demand for club seats and suites. And that goes into the, I guess, the survey that they sent out a couple weeks back. Is it any more intel on that, OB, that you got from yesterday?
No, not really. No, he was just saying that because that's we're talking about cutting expenses, and now they've said, hey, we'll come up with $80 million, but that's another to improve the stadium. But that's another area where you say, hey, we can expand the seating and bring in a whole lot more fans, and even if we don't get to where we make money on baseball, we can at least, if we're losing money, lose less, right? So either way, you're going to be bringing in more money eventually. So, and I think, having been out there, that A&M could be, baseball could be a revenue producing sport. Maybe not a huge amount, but they could. And Trev himself said, look, I don't like baseball, but I didn't know how much I'd like it till I got down to A&M. And I see him at the games.
Yeah.
So he's not just talking it. I mean, he's there and enjoying it. So he's gotten that A&M baseball experience. I think he sees the full potential there.
OB, I think sometimes we take it for granted how special this place is. We're just used to it. Like, this is all I know, right? Like, growing up, I went to A&M games and I went to a school down south in Florida. But other than that, like, this is what so the passion to me is just every day. This is what it's supposed to be like. But you think about a guy like Trev Alberts, who came from Nebraska, which also has a rich history and great traditions there, to be able to come here and be like, yeah, man, it's a different experience. That's the truth. And we sometimes forget about it.
Yeah, for baseball, I'm sure, especially, right? And probably some other sports. But now, we've been to Nebraska in football. It's a great environment, and everybody knows that. But, there's other sports that they don't just probably don't have as much enthusiasm for, even though we saw that they were definitely enthusiastic for basketball until they got their heart broken in Memphis. But I think he got a good look at the fan support for baseball at A&M, and was kind of, I think he was surprised by it to a certain degree.
So I'm going to read you something I found online today on ESPN that I will not read to Jim Schlossnagle here in a few minutes. I'll just read it to you. Nothing bad, but I don't want to get into this with him. Texas A&M was the favorite to win the College World Series at 9-2 on Tuesday at ESPN Bet, followed by Tennessee at 11-2 odds, and Arkansas, Kentucky, LSU. But A&M number one on that list, which I've seen it a lot, man. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just reading the information.
When A&M is at their best, when they're playing their best baseball, they may be the toughest team in the country to beat. But when they're, they have their vulnerabilities. So they just, of course they're going to be striving to play their best. If they do play their best, that could be a really good bet. But you just never know who's going to be, what we always say, you don't have to be the best team. You have to be the best team that day.
Yep. Well, OB, I'll say this about A&M, though. Even when they're not at their best, They got a freaking
They're
chance.
good enough.
They're right.
Yeah, but of course, with each step in the playoff, it gets harder to do that.
But not an SEC team until you get to Omaha, if you get to Omaha. And I'm sorry, that matters to me because how many freaking teams? Is it 11 teams in the SEC are in the in the playoffs, right? So you got 11 teams in the tournament, and A&M had to go against most of those teams. Obviously, they didn't play Kentucky. They only played Tennessee once, and they got eliminated. But you look at the schedule that they played, SEC games, Texas is going to be tough. Louisiana is going to be tough. Grambling, who knows? I hope not. But, you never know. But I know this. They're prepared for this because of what they've already gone through.
It's definitely been a grind. But I think the worst thing you can do, and I know Schlossnagle's telling his guys, and they won't either, but the worst thing you can do is assume that because you were in a tougher conference and you played a high-level competition every week, that you figure the next guy, he's just not going to be as good, and then you're not on your game, and then, upsets happen. So don't let that happen to you. And I think they're going to be dialed in. I'm not one of those that believes that losing is a positive ever, but if you ever needed a reason or a jump start to remember that you got to play well, the way they did in the SEC tournament, with some errors and some some things, uncharacteristic things, is a reminder. But again, I think they just weren't absolutely, completely dialed in, which is just human nature when there's not as much at stake.
OB,
now there's a lot at stake.
We're going to have you rejoin us at 9 o'clock with Stephen McGee, and I'm just going to give you something to think about. You've probably already seen it, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to play a soundbite for you at 9 o'clock that encapsulates why I dislike that school 90 miles away, the arrogance. It just encapsulates, and it's almost like they're not self-aware. So I'm gonna play that for you a little bit later. It's not that damning, but it irked me. So we'll play that, and we'll get Stephen McGee's take on it. We'll get your take on it. Sound good?
You bet.
All right, buddy.
Forward to it.
We'll talk to OB here in a half hour. Right now, we're talking FBS Appliance. Their team of experts are the best out there, by the way, are here to help you with your appliance needs that make your house a home. They carry all the top brands out there, and they can fit any budget. Caring for Texas since 1988 out there. FBS Appliance has trusted brands like Bosch with expert staff and trained installers to guide your purchase, because at FBS, they want you to know that they are your trusted appliance store out there. And they do many, many things. Their services don't stop at sales. They have expert installation carried out by skilled technicians who are factory trained. They understand the intricacies of installation. They also do a pre-walk video allowing for a visual assessment of the space before installation out there. And they are committed to customer satisfaction. It's at the core of everything that they do there at FBS. Visit any of their 8 showrooms across Texas or find them online at factorybuilderstores.com. Again, that is factorybuilderstores.com. It's FBS Appliance. All right, A&M and Grambling tomorrow, 12 o'clock, Bluebell Park. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the hotline. We're joined by Jim Schlossnagle as we get ready for the regional. Schloss, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. Good morning.
Good morning. I know you got a busy morning, so we'll try to keep it short for you. Just your thoughts heading into this regional now that we know the teams and everything that's been laid out.
Oh, man, I'm finishing up Texas right now, looking at all the video. It's going to be a good one. You got three really good teams, or I say two really good teams, and then Grambling, who hasn't had the greatest overall year, but they played awesome in the conference tournament. I'm assuming this little right-hander that's 12-2 is going to pitch against us, and he can really, really pitch. He got good feel for the ball. We're going to have to really show some patience and not have an ego at the plate, not try and swing early, because it's going to be different pitching than what we've seen all year. Texas has a couple really good pitchers, and they're right there with us in terms of power. And then Louisiana, everybody here in Aggie land knows Matt Deggs well, and the aggression that they play with on offense, and they may have the deepest pitching staff along with us in the tournament. So right now I'm just praying for the rain to stay away so we can have great crowds. I think it's awesome having the other three fan bases here, but especially Texas and Louisiana, because when you host a regional, you want all the games to be fun. You want all the games to be packed and have great atmosphere. So hopefully the rain won't mess with us too bad, but we're excited. We've been sitting around since last week, so I can promise you we're getting ready to have our practice here in about an hour, and the guys are ready to go.
Schloss, I've heard it mentioned both ways, like how you do in the conference tournament doesn't necessarily affect the way you play in the regional and beyond, right? But at the same token, I think teams that do get hot in it, it does have a lasting effect. And I'm talking about Grambling there, who did play well in their conference tournament.
Yeah, there's no doubt, especially if you've had a bad year, right? Because if you haven't had a great year, I mean, I've been one of those teams, maybe 1 or 2 years in the Mountain West Conference where we probably weren't going to be a regional selection if we didn't win the tournament, and then you get hot, and then, man, you really start feeling good about yourself, and you have a new season. And on the flip side, I've obviously been where we are this year, where you go 2 and out in the tournament, or you're in and out quick, and you get rest, and you kind of get to reset, and that bad taste in your mouth goes away, and you get to start a whole new season. So the bottom line is this is tournament baseball, and every year we see high seeds don't make it out of the regional, and we see low seeds play their way to Omaha, frankly, like A&M did in 17, and Ole Miss won a national title. So anybody who's been a part of any tournament, especially baseball, which is so fickle relative to the game itself, that's what makes it frustrating and beautiful. So you got to play well. If you don't play well, your season will be over.
How different is a regional experience for the players as opposed to just your normal weekend series, considering there's so many unknowns out there when you're going to play, and it's just a different feeling for the weekend, but you are at home.
Yeah, it's definitely a different feeling. It's big feeling, different feeling for the coaches, because it's triple the work, or triple the work. You got to prepare for 3 teams, including potentially one team that you may never play. So, and then for the players, it's kind of the same thing. You have an idea when you play a 3-game series, how the weekend's going to go, and you just have to win 2 of them. A regional, you have to win at least 3. I'm a huge fan. It's been talked about for years. I wish we could get to the point where we don't have regionals. We have 32 best 2 out of 3 series. You seed the entire tournament 1-64. You have 32 best 2 out of 3s, and then you have the next weekend is a 2 out of 3, and that's how you get to Omaha. Because I believe we play all year, especially, in every league, but you play 3-game series on the weekends, then you come to this thing, and it's completely different. So I think it would be much better for our sport if we just played the 32 2-out-of-3s. That would expand the regional hosts, obviously double them, and that really helps grow the game. And then you also just get to go into a weekend like you have all year long. You're just trying to figure out how to win 2 games out of 3 versus 1 team.
Has that been discussed? Is that actually a possibility, or is that something you've suggested and you're just waiting on?
It's been talked about for years. I'm not sure. I don't think it has a whole lot of movement right now, especially with all of the changes that people. We all see big change coming. We just don't know what that's going to look like, right? So it had some momentum for a while. I think with super conferences, the SEC going to 16 teams. I mean, we got all 5 of the 13 and 17 teams in. I think with super conferences, there may be a real push. Hopefully, there will be to expand the NCAA tournament. I think there was a time where they were going to expand that at all sports, but I haven't heard much traction on it lately. So it's probably down the line if it happens at all.
Schloss, back to the regional experience from a manager's perspective and figuring out when to use pitchers, considering the other unknowns out there. Like, how difficult is that balancing act, what you do on a Friday, Saturday, maybe a couple times? Just take me through that kind of mindset.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously you just want to stay in the winner's bracket as long as you can. My goal is to win the tournament, not win a game. And so sometimes you have to take some risks. Some of that will depend on the pitcher you're facing. And maybe you're not able to take a risk if the other team has any lead, number one, you can't pitch off a little bit. It's not so much pitch off, it's just line up the guys that give you the best chance to win the tournament. And so, and then I think hopefully the rest did this really well so that, you can have some guys maybe pitch a little bit more than what they're used to, whether it be a starter going a little bit deeper in the game because you're trying to save pitching, or whether it be a relief pitcher having to throw back-to-back days or, throw a little bit more. So I'm pretty sure, matter of fact, I am almost positive that there are no run rules in the postseason. So you have to play all the innings, good or bad. So that plays a role too, especially when we're putting together a roster. You definitely need more pitchers in a regional than you do in a super regional. You need more pitchers in a conference tournament than you do in a regional. So it plays a big role in how you put everything together.
Are you able to share your rotation for this weekend?
I'm able. I don't want to yet. Okay. I want to find out. I don't want to give it out there until I know until Grambling's ready to share, and apparently they're not ready to share yet. So I guess we'll find out maybe at these press conferences later this afternoon. But I'm sure it'll be out there before the day's over. I mean, I'm not trying to play any reindeer games. I'm not going to give anybody any advantage until the advantages are equal.
Oh, you know that I'm okay with it completely. I just want you guys to win. Let's talk about the health of the team. How the time off and just the overall health. How are things feeling right now?
Yeah, knock on wood, good. Yeah, I think the biggest from a health standpoint, the biggest positive. It's positive for all the players, but for Appel, really good for him. I see a different spring in his step, and he's definitely, he said it. He said it to me how much better he feels. Same thing with a guy like Lampkin, Sadeo. Those guys have gotten stronger. They put weight on, but they're not big. I mean, even Prager, they're not nearly as physical bodies as some other guys, and they certainly need to be. We have to get those guys bigger and stronger. You look at the best pitchers in college baseball. They're super physical, and but those three lefties, they've gotten better, but they're not where they should be or need to be just yet. So I think the rest, probably did them really well. And a guy like Ashenbeck, he needs to be rested because, he's probably going to pitch a lot.
Yeah. How much does experience play a role? And I'm thinking about some of the younger players in this with Gavin and Caden Sorrell. Your expectations for the younger players this weekend.
Yeah, I have zero concern about that because of the league we play in. Yeah. And believe me, when I was at TCU, I couldn't stand what was perceived as the SEC elitist talk. But when you go through this league, and this is what I said to him, maybe I think the night we lost the last game in Hoover, is no one, every SEC team is prepared to handle anything that could possibly be thrown at them. There's not going to be a better pitcher you face. I mean, maybe Chase Burns. There's not a right-hander in our league that's as good as him, but there's definitely no left-hander in the country as good as Hagen Smith. So there's no better pitching you're going to face. There's no environment. There's no pressure. There's no anything that you're not prepared for. So those guys, it's not like they're playing their 10th game. They've been playing all year, so they'll be just fine. I have full confidence in all of our players and even the young ones.
Schloss, you alluded to it earlier, but the weather, what is your latest intel and how much that plays a role, obviously, in all your game planning?
Yeah, I haven't looked lately. I haven't gotten out to the field yet and talked to Nick McKenna, and does an awesome job. Our field guys are so great. Last time I checked, it looked like we may be good to go for our game, or at least good enough to get it started tomorrow. And then, we're just going to be one of those weekends of this part of the country where you're fighting it. You may get to play for a little bit, have to wait a little bit. Game times moved around. So, yeah, there's many times I wish I would have been a basketball coach. You sweep the gym floor and play, and you get to wear cool gear like Coach Buzz. I'm not a big 3-piece suit guy, but the Peter Millar deal he got going, that's electric.
Pretty legit, Schloss. Hey, thanks for your time, sir. Get back to work, and we'll see you this afternoon.
All right. Have a great day. Gig 'em.
Jim Schlossnagle on the hotline. All right, we'll hit a break there. We'll come back with some final thoughts here on the Go Hour, and we'll get to your text messages and whatnot. Right now, we're talking Heritage Films. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. They make documentary films for your families, right? So if I had somebody call the office the other day asking more information about it, you should really consider it. You don't want time to pass too much time to pass, because these stories are really important. Like, I just use my family as an example. My dad's turning 94. I use this one all the time, but it's the truth. And he turns 94 in July, and he's had some health scares. He's had some bad falls. Dude escaped Cuba. Dude had a heart attack, beat COVID, hip replacement surgery in January, and he's still out there working at the golf course and hasn't played since he fell in January, but he's going to get back to playing out there. But my point in saying all that is my dad's got a wealth of knowledge and history and stories to share that we were able to capture on video. So, like, when my kids get a little older, and they saw the video, right? But when they get a little older and they have kids, that's going to be a real impactful video to hear from their grandfather and the great-grandfather for their kids, right? That, to me, that's what a heritage film's about. It's about telling your family story the right way, with the clarity, with the actual details that sometimes are missed when you retell other people's stories. That's why we did a heritage film. That's why I recommend it to you. You can also do a Yearflix, 20-minute Q&A benchmark videos for the youngers in the family. Talk about your freshman year of college, your sophomore year, your junior year, you get your Aggie ring, your senior year, you meet the love of your life, you get married, you graduate, and you have a 4-part series right there, 20-minute Q&A, fun style of video that we did for my daughter Annalise, who's now 13. We did it when she was 12. It is awesome. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. That's 713-893-8341. It is TexAgs Radio. Hey, everybody. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. This show is presented by TexAgs. We are TexAgs, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. A couple of notes on here that I want to read. If the boys can take a this is from Skippy Gus 73. If the boys can take a breath, let the noise quiet down. The game will slow back down to where it becomes easier. I'm pretty sure of all the doubleheader stacked with who played didn't help. So, yeah, I don't know what the last part of it is. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Chris Record says it's not surprising that Schloss graduated magna cum laude from college. Just need to see the ball hit the ball. So easy to say, but it's never easy to do when you're on the struggle bus. Look, we can all look at things however the heck we want. When it's go time, there's a different level of focus, energy that happens at that ballpark right across the street at Bluebell, right at Olson Field. There's no doubt that that team is fantastic at home. And even when they've been on the road in losses, right, most of those games, like, they were an inning. They had the chance to win in the ninth inning how many freaking times? Callie, can you remember? Not the exact number, but, like, I feel like every game there was, one hit away. Why did I sound angry there?
Because we were one hit away.
Yeah. And we're just one show away from me being fired. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Esteban McGee, Olin Buchanan, live from Destin. The last time this year he'll be in Destin, I think. We'll talk to both of those guys. I do want to run that soundbite that I was talking about earlier that just, to me, is at the root of why I dislike that university. It's not the success that they think they have. It's the arrogance. We'll talk about that and more. It's TexAgs Radio. Welcome back to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Olin Buchanan rejoins us here on the hotline. We had to break for a moment to talk to Schloss. He is back with us. In a moment, we will get to Esteban McGee on the program from Paragon Financial, our QB1. In fact, I believe he is taking his seat as we speak. Steven, good morning, buddy. How you been?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Good, buddy. What's going on in your world?
Oh, man, just another day grinding, man. It's all is good.
So I'm going to play a soundbite for you guys. Look, it's not a big deal. It just ticked me off. The arrogance, the vibe I got from it. Maybe I'm overreading it or overanalyzing it, but I want you to hear Chris Del Conte yesterday with Paul Feinbaum. And I think Paul does a great job setting it up. But basically it's about the Red River rivalry as opposed to Alabama-Auburn, the Iron Bowl. So just listen to this.
Have you been to the Red River rivalry yet?
At the beginning of my career, I saw it.
It's ridiculous. It's the greatest thing ever. You may talk about the cocktail party, the Iron Bowl. It is nothing
I like where this is
game
going. I think
at the state fair, because you have 300,000
I detected something there.
300,000 people outside. No, the Iron Bowl is awesome. Don't get me wrong. At night, it's great. Same with but the cocktail party. But this game, nuts too. You got to throw us a bone there, P-Dub. What's up, buddy?
Joe, the University of Texas is not even an official member yet of the SEC, and he's already thrown shade on the Iron Bowl. The Iron Bowl. No. You'll be fine because we're not even allowed to call it the cocktail party.
When your callers come in losing their mind, I was not throwing shade. What I was saying, it is an unbelievable environment.
Oh, man.
So you're already throwing a little sauce on it for no reason.
Like, you've given me a gift.
This is not right.
Oh, it's the gift that keeps on giving. The whole
Come on now.
Come on.
All I was saying was it's an awesome game that you give. You know you talk about it.
Someone had a cocktail before that interview. Okay.
Yeah.
Guys.
I think he's already at the cocktail party.
Like, all right, Steven, you start us off because maybe I'm overreacting, but the arrogance and the P-dub, like, come on. Like, you just got invited. You're not even officially invited into the party yet. And now you're telling people, yeah, that doesn't compare to what we do. Like, come on. Like, when you go to somebody's house, you talk about their house. You don't talk about your house.
Exactly right. These are all the reasons why we love Texas so much, though, right? I mean, it's the same things that they've always been doing or saying. They're always just a little bit better than everyone else, and they're going to be that way in the SEC. So whether people like it, love it, whatever side they're on, it's certainly going to be true. That those things don't change. The zebra stripes are still the same.
OB, tell me, man, you felt the same thing I was feeling. I saw your head shaking when you were listening.
Yeah, first of all, I kept thinking that sounds. Yeah, like you said, it sounded like he had some cocktails. It sounded like Joe Namath getting interviewed by Susie Colbert. I don't care about the game. I want to kiss you. Like, been in a rivalry. Like, come on. I mean, hey, Chris, I know it's, celebrating the move into CC, but, have a cup of coffee before you go on. The Red River rivalry is a great game. I've covered it. I've been to the Iron Bowl. It's a great game. It's a great environment. I've been to the, to the Georgia-Florida game. They don't like to call it the cocktail party because if they do, maybe the Conte will show up. But, they're great games. So to come in and just say, hey, you haven't been to our game, it's just, that's typical. And it's funny because what is it that program does to people? Because when he was at TCU, he didn't seem to have that kind of air about him. And you come to Austin, and a couple of years later, everybody's beneath you.
Steven, man, like, I'm listening to that, and I'm like, dude, like, relax a little bit. Like, kind of, I don't know. You guys know I watch a lot of soccer. There are programs out there that have won way more than Texas has, that has way less arrogance when talking about their history. Like, to me, it's just like, you're in the SEC now. You're the newest members. Just relax. Take it with stride. You guys are going to be pretty good this year on football. Just chill out and let the football do the talking. Not like, hey, we're and then you try to walk it back. And that's what I had a problem with. Like, stick to your guns, bro.
Well, yeah, that's what I had a problem with. I had the problem with all of it. I have a problem with the SEC.
Come on. Like, you don't even know P-Dub.
Well said, Obi.
Hey, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with OB. I am looking forward to having them back on the schedule. Don't hear me say this the wrong way, but I have not missed their arrogance one bit, and hearing about how great they are. Look, they do. They have a great program. They do great in all sports. I'm not going to try to downplay that at all, but they could certainly do a better job of letting their on-field successes speak for themselves and not having to toot their own horn. I think they'd be just fine.
Hey, so one of the things that OB talked about was Kyle Field at Bucky Stadium, because of some of these, and he was predicting or just throwing out an idea out there, because that's college football is going to have to find ways to make more revenue with this $20 million that are going to go to players. Your thoughts on how different revenue streams for college football based on the new expense that they have?
Yeah, I think it's the most interesting trend in college sports or announcement in college sports for quite some time, and I don't think near enough people are talking about it. There's so many ramifications that could fall out. It's quickly turning into semi-professional sports. It's a business. The ramifications I think no one are talking about that I really believe, and kind of somewhat we just discussed in the past and kind of predicted, were the fallout from sub-tier sports that are not profitable, and the downfall of losing those programs altogether. That's going to be a shame, in my opinion, but I think it's the next step. We've already seen people that have been long-term tenured employees of a place like Texas A&M where there's been budget cuts, right? And then the third fallout, in my opinion, is going to be facilities, right? So we see Texas A&M leading the charge right there with the best in the country as far as facilities go. But when the dollars and cents get crunched, all of a sudden these things become less important, right? So it was like before free agency hit the NFL, if you were to go to Valley Ranch, you'd be like, man, this is where the Dallas Cowboys practice. You'd be shocked at how disgusting the place was in some regards. And so, free agency hit and all of a sudden they tried to make it more attractive. But at the end of the day, there's only limited dollars that the program has. And if more and more are getting allocated to players, whether it's through revenue share or NIL, then yes, to your point, it's going to start cutting programs. It's going to limit the pool. It does create a monopoly, so to speak, because certain people have that advantages, like Texas, like A&M, like Alabama, like Ohio State, that a school like SMU is just not going to be able to do. So there's tons of talking points around this. I think it's terrible for college sports. I'll say it again. The best thing that these kids can do is get a great education from an incredible institution like Texas A&M. They can graduate, because even if they go to the NFL, the average NFL career is 3 years, and they've got to do something next. And if they have 1 year at Texas A&M and 1 year at Oklahoma and 1 year at Tulsa, they don't have any network. They don't have anything to fall back on. And we have really done these kids a disgrace, in my opinion.
Steven, I think you're a great example of an NFL career, promising college career, and yet you have banked on, excuse me for using that term, your Aggie network and your education to start this phase of your life.
Yeah, it's changed the trajectory of my life, and I'm forever grateful to A&M. I wouldn't be where I am today without having played at Texas A&M and having graduated, gotten a great education, obviously, got my chance to play in the NFL, whatever you want to make of that. Didn't play as long as I'd hoped to, but fell back on something that now I enjoy more and would never trade to go back and play in the NFL. So yeah, you're exactly right, Dave. I wish more guys, especially at Texas A&M, would have that same pride, and they could realize how great of a school this really is, not just on the football field, but whenever you leave the football field as well. It's being an Aggie is really, really something special. And I feel like it's been diluted now with NIL, because all they care about is how much money they make, not the name on the front of the jersey.
OB?
Well, I was just still thinking about all those things Steven's saying is true. But the fact of the matter is, with the new expenses of the money that's going to be paid to players, there's going to be programs looking at other revenue sources, and the whole idea of having naming rights is a real deal. And I would think that I was in jest when I said Buc-ee's Stadium, Kyle Field. I was kidding around, but it's going to be local businesses or businesses that maybe have an alum from that school that, I would think that they would want to be associated with. And it sounded to me like, Chris Del Conte was already trying to work on a deal for, DKR Tito's Vodka Memorial Stadium.
Of course they were, OB. That's so good. Hey, so let me ask you this question, because to your point, you're exactly right, OB. I think that the business side of it is there's an incredible amount of opportunity. I mean, look at the George Strait concert. You have the Mexico-Brazil soccer match in a week or so. There's certainly revenue streams to use Kyle Field, but I guess would you change Kyle Field? Would you say Buc-ee's Kyle Field? Would Aggies be okay if the price tag was big enough?
They're all right with Bluebell Park, Olsen Field at Bluebell Park.
There you go. All right. You answered my question.
All right. Guys, let's look into the crystal ball. So we know what we think college football will look like in 25. What is college football going to look like in 3 years?
Man, I really believe that you have more super conference convergence. And I really believe that the direction has got to be like 60 power schools and everyone else gets basically kicked to the curb, because it's just going to be impossible for these sub-tier schools to compete. They just don't have enough money, and it's going to be an expensive proposition to compete at the top.
Yeah, right now you have the FCS and the FBS, and they'll have, I think, in 3 years, maybe that soon, you'll have FCS, FBS, and, for lack of a better way to put it, super FBS, which will be, you got the people playing at the $100 tables, you got the people playing at $25 tables, and you have me over at the $5 table.
All right. So then I'm going to follow that up with what does Aggie football look like in 3 years? Because if this is the groundwork that Elko is putting here, and hopefully it becomes a 9-3, 10-2 kind of year, what do we think Aggie football looks like in a couple years?
Well, I hope it looks like a championship team, but I believe, and I always have said this: if you get the right coach in it, then A&M is a consistent, I used to say consistent 10-win season, a 10-win team. But I think with the growth of the SEC, and it may expand even more. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if in the not in the real near future, but the not too distant future, if they don't play 10 conference games. And I think it's that line of defining a great season goes from 10 to 9. And I just think that I've always felt like A&M with the right coach is going to be that team that's going to be always winning 9 to 10 games. And so that's what I would expect.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. I agree with OB, and I really feel like Mike Elko can be that football coach. You guys know this. I'm a staunch believer in Mike Elko. It's going to be incredibly difficult to be a 10-win consistent team in the SEC West. But if there is this movement out of, and let's say it's more regional pods of the 60 teams, now all of a sudden you're going to be fishing in different barrels. You're going to get to have probably more favorable matchups than what you would get, I think, on a consistent basis in the SEC conference. So that would hopefully portend an easier 10 wins necessarily than something in the SEC. But for the foreseeable future, look, I hate beating a dead horse here, but it's true. You got to have a good football coach that runs the program, and you have to have good assistants. We've said that all along. You have to put these players in a position to succeed. Recruiting goes without saying, but it's extremely difficult in college football now to win without a good quarterback. So you have to have not just a good quarterback, now you have to have the next guy in line. You've seen the programs that have won consistently. They've had great quarterbacks. Look at Ohio State, look at Alabama, look at LSU. They have good quarterbacks. It's hard to do it without good football, a head football coach and assistants, and a good quarterback. Those are, in my opinion, are really important ingredients.
Hey, it's been a couple of weeks since the Scotty Scheffler thing, but I know you're a big golf guy. What were your thoughts on the whole ordeal? And then yesterday's news, that I think it was yesterday, that they dropped the charges.
Yeah, Scotty Scheffler, I think, is my favorite athlete, current athlete. I love him. I love the way he carries himself. He's a champion on and off the field, and I love what he stands for. He's just an incredible human being. And I think as a fan, I think most people probably saw that and they were angered by it and frustrated. And I know it's easy in any situation for things to go awry, and he just handled it with so much class. He could have gone a million different directions with that, and he handled it just about as perfectly as you could expect. And then to be able to go out there and compete, and I think he shot 5 under the next round, which is just phenomenal. I was disappointed in what transpired. He should have never been put in that situation, and I think he was treated unfairly, but so is the world. But I think the most important story from that is that even when he got treated unfairly, and even though he's at the pinnacle of his career, he handled it with grace and humility, and I think there's a lot to take away from that.
So yesterday's news was, I guess the police department issued a statement, the police officer involved, where he still doubled down on his pants getting ripped up or whatever. I do want you to hear his attorney. I got this sound. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. His attorney yesterday kind of fiery response, because basically, just to give you the part of the story beforehand, he almost admitted to doing something wrong with the police as the investigation was happening, and his attorney paints the picture on the why.
Steve, I have to ask you, though, the statements that Scotty made after the arrest don't seem to fully align with what you're saying right now. He admits that he got impatient and went too far.
No, here's what happened, is he is being interrogated after the most stressful situation of his life, right? And the officer is actually asking him leading questions and trying to get him to agree with them. Okay? And that's why you don't talk to the police, because they are going to try to put words in your mouth. And that's exactly what they did.
But that was after he read his Miranda rights.
Of course, he didn't have to speak. But again, he asked to talk to the officer. He wanted to explain to him what happened. However, they are trying to get him to confess to something that he didn't do. And the video evidence shows he didn't do it.
I want that attorney, man. I like that fire, Steven.
I love it too. Yeah, he's passionate. Now, I think he is right. I don't know if you guys watched the video of the cop talking to Scotty Scheffler in the car, but it certainly, you could tell he was trying to get the information out so they could use it against him. And when you're in that situation, it's certainly stressful. And he's probably extremely confused. He's probably worried about being able to compete in a major championship and what the heck's going to happen now. And he's an agreeable, nice guy as well. So, he's going to play along with whatever the cop says to some level extent. But yeah, I really, look, I always want to back our police. I firmly believe this. I have dear friends that serve, and I'm so thankful for our cops out there protecting and keeping our neighborhood safe. But I think in this situation, it was certainly, I think there was some errors on the cops' part in this situation for sure.
OB, impressed with that attorney?
Yeah, I don't know if you know who Matt Jones is. I'm sure you do. He's the guy who does the ESPN show, radio show on the weekends, and he's from Louisville, and he's an attorney.
Yeah,
and he was talking about it last Saturday, and he was talking about how he, knows all these people that are involved, and that. Now, this is just what Matt Jones was saying on his show. He said that among police officers in Louisville, when they found out the cop that was involved, they're like, again, this guy again? Apparently, this police officer that was involved, based on what this guy who lives in Louisville and is connected with all these people there, apparently this guy's somewhat of a drama queen, and that's why he was like, hey, he tore my $80 pair of pants. He apparently made a big deal to make sure everyone knew they were $80 pair of pants, and that he was saying, this Matt Jones was saying on last week, they said there's nothing's going to come out of this because they didn't have the video that they were saying they had and all this. So I'm not surprised. But yeah, a attorney supposed to defend his client, and it sounded like that he could do it easily because there was really nothing to defend him against.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Let's hit a break. We're going to come back with a buy-sell lease that I think you guys will enjoy. Right now, we're hitting a break to talk about Rollo Insurance, the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real. If you're looking for new insurance, or you're not even looking for new insurance, you're just thinking to yourself, I just need a better deal. Call up our friends at Rollo, because that's what they do. They do the shopping for you so that you can accomplish your insurance goals, and they'll do that by shopping it around and finding the best opportunity for what your family needs are. If you've got young kids about to start driving, you've got some accidents, some tickets in your history, they'll find the right thing for you. That's what they've been doing for a long, long time, and you can find them right here all over town. Bryan-College Station. Their headquarters is in in College Station off of Highway 6, and you'll see them at all the places that I go to. They're big supporters of Aggie athletics, and their main mission is to make sure that you get what you want from your insurance. They've got 53 offices in the great state of Texas, but they're all around the country. You can find them anywhere. But remember, their heart is right here in College Station. That's why their headquarters is in College Station. 888-44-ROLLO, or go to RolloInsurance.com. That's 888-44-ROLLO or RolloInsurance.com. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We've got Stephen McGee from Paragon Financial, or QB1, with us. Olin Buchanan. Last segment before he travels back here to Texas. He'll be in studio tomorrow, correct, OB?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Cool. All right, let's do a little buy-sell lease. If you had to go to dinner or drinks or hang out with these three guys, who are you buying, selling, leasing? Number 1 on the list, Brian Kelly. Number 2 on the list, Sark. Number 3 on the list, Lane Kiffin. Steven, you start us off.
Oh, man. All right. This could get interesting, OB. We're going to sell Brian Kelly for sure.
Okay.
Look, I'm gonna lease Sark after dark. I mean, this is what he does, right? I mean, not to draw him into his history here, but then I guess I'll have to buy Lane Kiffin because what's his name at Alabama when he was the OC? Yeah, Jimmy Freshwater. I hear Jimmy Freshwater's a great guy to hang out with.
Yeah, I was going to say, when they ask me what I want to drink, I want to say, yeah, bring me some water, some fresh water.
Such a dad joke.
The puns are on fire today, OB. I love it. I bet you, as much as I like to not like him because we play against him, he's done so well as a coach against us. Lane Kiffin, I bet it's a good time.
Yeah.
I could see him getting off the grid and telling some really good stories.
OB, your turn.
Well, who would which guys would be the most fun, right?
Lane Kiffin.
So I would buy Kiffin.
Yeah.
Because he's probably the most fun. Now, Sark maybe not the most fun anymore since he got off the wagon, but I'd probably lease Sark, and quite frankly, I can't. Does Brian Kelly ever strike you as being a fun guy at all?
No.
I mean, have you seen him try to dance on that video and talk with a Southern accent? I just don't think it'd work.
We all need that dorky friend to hang out with to feel better about ourselves. I mean, come on, OB. I left the door open for you. I knew that was coming. I left it open for you.
Yeah.
I'm actually, and I don't have a good reason, but I'm buying Lane. I think even though when Lane comes at us, I just want to fight the dude, right? Not in real life, but I don't like how he talks about A&M, and I understand his beef with Jimbo. I still think he is entertaining. It would be fun. Although I find him to be a little socially awkward at times. Like there's an awkwardness to his funniness, right? So I'm going Lane. I'm actually going to lease Brian Kelly because I just don't like the Texas arrogance that happens when you get there. I just don't. And I don't think I could last a dinner with being told how expensive my shoes are and my orange pants are and how, he might be a delightful human being. And I don't know him. And, it looks like he had a good laugh with Elko there at the SEC spring meetings. So maybe he's a great guy. Based on sound bites and what I've seen so far, I think I'm going to go with Brian Kelly because we'd be done by 9 o'clock. I can go to bed early. I'll be fine.
Okay.
You don't think Brian Kelly's going to take you to Bad Bunny?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think Sark would go to Bad Bunny first.
1,000%.
Could you see Brian Kelly dancing to Bad Bunny?
Oh,
I could see it.
We can definitely see that. Yeah. You won't see me dancing to Bad Bunny. You just see me bobbing my head. That's the extent of my dancing, guys. Hey, Steven, before I let you go, I know you're not a huge baseball guy, but you got to be excited about what's happening here this weekend.
Yeah, it is. It's Coach Schloss has done a phenomenal job, and he's lived up to everything that we brought him here to do. This baseball team has a lot of potential. You guys know I don't know anything about baseball. I'm not a huge baseball guy, but anytime your programs are doing well, our spring sports have been phenomenal, and baseball is right there with them. I hope they make a really good run. It would be a lot of fun to see them beat Texas and get into the supers, and then I know anything can happen in baseball, but to make it to the World Series would be a lot of fun.
Well, think about this, Steven, and OB too. These next 3 weeks potentially are so awesome where you've got the regional this weekend, Texas coming in town, right? That's a big deal. Next week, hopefully a super regional, and you've got Mexico, Brazil, and you got everybody coming for that game. And then the week after, if I remember correctly, in that the George Strait concert, so in Parker McCollum, so you've got that all going here in this across the street from these offices.
Yeah, a lot of good activity, and you got obviously summer brings along some golf opportunities as well. So there's a lot of good stuff going on, and I would look, man. I would love to see them make a huge run. Have we ever made it to the World Series?
Yeah, we made it a couple years ago.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Sorry. There you go. That's how much of a baseball buff I am. I'm showing my true colors here. But there's from all the guys I talk to that love baseball. A lot of people are saying we have 3 first-round picks potentially in the next 3 years on the team now, and there's a lot of really good individual players, which makes it fun. But then you have a great team, and you have a great leader, and the stories about Schloss are phenomenal. I mean, I love everything I've heard about him as a coach, as well as my interactions with him have been nothing short of fantastic. So, needless to say, I'm a big fan of him.
Steven, have a great weekend, man. Thanks so much.
All right, see you guys.
See you, man. OB, safe travels, buddy.
Thank you.
Later, bud. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with Jonathan Hutton of OutKick the coverage. We'll get his thoughts on everything going on in college football, and I'm sure the CDC thing will come up again because it's just too funny. All right, right now, moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in I was yelling. Apologize. Highway 21 in Caldwell and online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. When you're looking for a vehicle, you start your search online there, right? You can go to the other sites if you want to, waste time and not get anywhere. But if you go to caldwellcountrychevrolet.com, you're going to find the right vehicles, the right pricing, and you're just going to get a kind of a feel for what they have on the lot. You make the trek out there, you test drive, you get the customer service, the whole experience, and you come away thinking, man, I'm going to buy my car here. That's what we did. We were told from others that work here at TexAgs, I got my car there, it was awesome. And, they were a proud sponsor of TexAgs. I'm like, I'm going to try it out. And look, I am frugal. I don't spend money. Like I had to, it had to be the right deal for us, and we got the right deal for us. And that's what I can tell you about Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Good deal, good people, and excellent customer service out there. 15-minute drive, Bryan to Caldwell, a short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Got a lot to get into here. SEC spring meetings gives us a lot of talking points. Yeah, the CDC comment will come up again, but let's go straight to the hotline. We're joined by Jonathan Hutton of OutKick here on the program. What's up, man? How you been?
It is great to be back on. Been great. Ready for football though. I'm itching for kickoff. What are we? 93 days away now. Countdown's on.
Buddy, I see production value in the background. I just saw a moment. Do I see TexAgs and the SEC? What is that? An iPad? What is going on there?
Damn right. When Nuño and Lucci give me a shout, I represent. Let's do this. I represent here in Nashville all the time.
So how does that work? Is that like a? I want it. I want it for my house. I want it for when I drive. Yeah.
So you've got the, I don't know what it's called. Tidbit. I think it's what it's called.
Okay.
And I'm, had I not turned, I can hide my cord that I was right there. But see, I've got the TexAgs. You just add a photo to it, and as long as I'm not tech savvy like your guys back there behind the camera. As long as the pixels are okay, you're good to go. You can add anything you want to here.
Okay.
In fact, do you want me to add the weather live on the air?
Yeah, can you do that for us? This is fantastic. Yeah, I am fascinated by this.
I'll let you know exactly what it's like here in Nashville. We can I can put scores on here, whatever you want.
This is
no, I'm not endorsed by Tidbit whatsoever. But I'm going to add one for you. I'm
about to reach out to Tidbit to be a sponsor of TexAgs and get like 100 of those just to walk around in life with it. That is fantastic for the radio audience. It's like a billboard that changes in the background. I know we have the big screens here, but like I just like it. That is pretty cool out there. We're talking to Jonathan Hutton, obviously from OutKick here, as he's updating in real time his.
Got you right here.
Okay. Tidbit. Let's go.
So there's the weather. If you can see that, and I can add the time here for you as well. There you go.
I love that.
Sunrise, sunset, whatever you want.
Okay, we're getting like 5 of those for the new studio.
You need these. Yeah, you need these.
Hey, so college football, man, not a lot going on except it's completely changing. Just some.
I know.
Just tell me your thoughts.
My thoughts are, who knows? Hurry up and wait is another thought that comes to mind. Here's what I said earlier on Hot Mic with Withrow on OutKick, Nuño. I don't know why. Okay, I can't tell you why, but I trust Greg Sankey because I don't know of a better leader right now that's actually willing to step up and do something and do it behind the scenes and actually, albeit. I get it. The coaches are not going to like this. Many universities are not going to like this. Be patient with the process, and be patient with the process that's going to work out just fine for the SEC. He's got comments about players getting paid and not being taxed. I get all that. No one wants to be taxed, Greg. That would be my response. No one wants to be taxed. He pays taxes. He doesn't want to be taxed. So of course, no one's going to come up to him and say, "Hey, I'd love to be taxed like an employee." I don't agree with him there, but I agree with the sentiment of, hey, that this is let's just slow down and get this right. Because without that mindset, I don't think anything's going to get done. And we're just going to continue down this path because everyone's out to benefit themselves instead of the greater good being the product of college football. I'm looking at this through the football lens. Nuño, I don't know if you agree, but like they need more Sankeys and Petit. They need more of the power instead of the power to the power for. They need more juice behind them as an individual commissioner leader. And right now it's just Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey, and Sankey's a step ahead because everyone's wanting to know what he's going to say, what he has said, what he will say at SEC Media Days. All of that factors in, and I appreciate the fact he's doing things behind the scenes when he's saying that he's very good at making everyone feel like he's sitting back and watching when he's actually doing everything that's going to make everyone else react.
Sankey's an interesting character from an A&M perspective because there's many who still are upset with him, the whole Texas fiasco of getting into it.
No doubt. No doubt.
But at the end of the day, I think he is doing what's right for college football. No, for the SEC. Like, it made too much business sense for them.
But what's good for the SEC is good for college football right now. because of where we are. I'm not saying where we were 5 years ago. I'm just saying where we are now, because if you're looking for, everyone's trying to position themselves to be a part of the pack, and the pack is being led by the SEC and the Big Ten. So you're following the lead there. You're taking less revenue in the college football playoff. Yeah, I mean, in term, and by the way, when it comes to the federal legislation, if we ever get there, and we won't anytime soon, they're going to look to the SEC and Greg Sankey, who's been up there with what feels like 5,000 hearings. I believe there's 12 or 13 of them now. He's been to 5 of them. So I mean, in terms of lobbying, he's been the top lobbyist, even though his name's not mentioned as much as we have heard from, the different figureheads that aren't really showing much power or leadership right now. Sankey behind the scenes does that, and I appreciate the fact that at least he's trying to do something instead of sit back and just let the federal government figure things out, which again will take longer than it would for the Power 4 conferences to agree on something.
Along those same lines, I feel like A&M's new athletic director, the more I hear him talk, and I knew obviously his history, but the more I really like that he is proactive. And what he said the other day was college football's got an expense problem, not a revenue problem. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the expense problem. To me, is the buyouts, and not every university is paying full price for these buyouts. But if you look at some of the numbers, Nuño, I mean, think about the percentages of the athletic budget, and about 9%. This is about 2 years ago. About 9% of the athletic budget went to the players, like the overall experience, the student athlete fund that it takes. 9% went to of the athletic budget went their direction. 42 to 45% of the budget went to buyouts of coaches, administrators, staff, executive roles within the athletic department that were fired, that were paid to leave, paid to fail. That to me is the biggest issue right now with budgets. It's not paying players. It's not the $2.7 billion settlement. It's the fact that in college sports right now, and especially college football, the college coaches, while they don't have it as it's not easy. They don't have it. It's tougher than being an NFL coach from just the grand scheme of everything you have to be on top of. Coaches just want to coach, and you can't do that anymore in college football. But what you can do is fail and get paid to fail. Ryan Day is going to get paid like $45 million to lose to Michigan, not beat Michigan this year. But if he loses to Michigan, he's going to get fired, and he'll get paid $45 million to do so. That's ridiculous. But if he took another job, the team hiring him would owe about $6 million to the university. There is a huge discrepancy between the buyouts and the haves and the have-nots in that regard. And it's not just the top coaches, which is hard to find, by the way, the resumes of really true championship level coaches. It's down, like coaches that are winning 6 or 7 games a year and being praised for it and getting raises for it. They're also having these crazy buyouts. That's the expense that it goes towards. And many times the boosters are paying it, but now the boosters are paying players. So the athletic departments are going to be picking up the funds there if they want guys out. And they want to continue to have the funds coming in from their big donors. And to do that, you got to keep them happy. Just ask Kentucky basketball, where more money's coming in now than what was coming in for NIL in regards to the basketball program. I look at this as that's where they've got to figure out the stopgap of how you quit giving all these major buyouts to guys who aren't that good to begin with and who are set up to get fired. You're hired to get fired as a coach. And when you get fired in college football, you get paid an exorbitant amount. You guys would know, but I'm saying this from a grand scheme of things, not just looking at Jimbo and using Jimbo as the lazy example because he's out there in a land far from anyone else, but everyone else is still at a level that they don't deserve.
So I didn't tell you we were going to talk about this, but it just hit me because I talked about it with Stephen McGee a moment ago. Did you by any chance listen to Chris Del Conte with Paul Feinbaum yesterday?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay. It's the last time I'm going to run it today on the show. I'm going to play you this little 1-minute soundbite, and I want you to react to it, okay?
Good.
All right, let's see if Nick can get that queued up for us because you got it? All right, let's listen to it.
Have you been to the Red River Rival yet?
At the beginning of my career, I saw it.
It's ridiculous. It's the greatest thing ever. You may talk about the cocktail party, the Iron Bowl. It is nothing like
where this is
game
going. I think
at the state fair because you have 300,000 people.
I detected something there.
300,000 people outside. No, the Iron Bowl is awesome. Don't get me wrong. At night it's great. Same with but the cocktail party. But this game is nuts too. You got to throw us a bone there, P-Dub. What's up, buddy?
P-Dub.
Joe, the University of Texas is not even an official member yet of the SEC, and he's already thrown shade on the Iron Bowl. The Iron Bowl and the cocktail party.
No.
You'll be fine because we're not even allowed to call it the cocktail party.
I got to jump in there. P-Dub. I'm sorry. Like, I know I'm making too much of it, but I just found that whole thing, that whole interaction, inebriated and terrible.
The 300,000 it's a mic drop. Okay, welcome to state fairs. Okay, and in Texas, again, the state fairs haven't attended, have not been to the Red River Shootout. Let me get that right instead of the rivalry. But the Iron Bowl itself, we know what that means for the state of Alabama. And I view it from, instead of the state-to-state rivalry, the state rivalry, to me, is what sets the Iron Bowl apart, where for a year, your entire, in some cases, family trash talk and overall mood. Think about Alabama, and think about just college football fans. Many of us, your entire week is determined on how you're going to feel on the result on Saturday. And the result of the Iron Bowl is from across the state, all about the next year. I view it that way. But look, the split stadium, he brings in the cocktail party, all that. The visual is incredible. It is an awesome rivalry. It's an awesome game. But yeah, give me the Iron Bowl of my options. And that is my SEC homerism coming through, no doubt. And now the SEC gets a part of that.
Well, my whole thing is, like, you just got invited, bro. Like, can you tell us that maybe later?
Well, hey, good for Oklahoma, though, you've got Oklahoma and Texas coming in and stirring the pot. That's great. The real UT, is it Tennessee or is it Texas? Like, I love all of that. And for instance, the Vols go on the road to Oklahoma this year. That's gonna be badass. Like, let's just say this is gonna be fun to see Heupel go back there, and to see some of the road trips that we're going to see Texas represent the SEC against Michigan. That's all legit, and all the trash talk, the SEC chants will be happening when the Longhorns visit the Wolverines. And that's where I think that really factors into the whole conference realignment. The shootout is now a part of all of that. And the trash talk that has always been when the SEC is now added some more fuel. That's great for everybody. And I don't have to tell anyone at A&M that.
Jonathan, great stuff as always, brother. Thanks so much.
Hey, Nuño, even A&M fans have to be happy that Texas is back on the schedule.
Yes and no. There's a yes and no to that.
Well, but
I can't wait to beat them. I can't wait to beat them.
That's my point. Yeah. If they're talking trash about a rivalry matchup, let's just beat them. Take care of business.
Appreciate you as always, brother. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. Always good to be on with you.
We'll see you here in about 6 weeks there at SEC Media Days in Dallas. Thanks, man.
Let's go. Yep.
There he is. All right, we'll hit a break here. When we come back, a little short open segment. Right now, let's talk about Aggie Land Express Car Wash, your car wash tradition with the friendliest staff and, of course, that personal touch. Aggie Land's first green car wash. They recycle 100% of their water, and they now have 2 locations. You got the original, William D. Fitch, behind Shipley's in South College Station, and the new location there on Texas Avenue, 2528 Texas Avenue South, College Station, across from Planet Fitness. Both Aggie Land Express Car Wash have all the services you want, varying wash options, free vacuums, perfumes, towels for use, unlimited monthly memberships starting as low as $19.95 per month. The new location also offers a full-service car wash. The newest full-service wash in town. Choose the full vacuum service, and Aggie Land Express team will take care of cleaning, drying, vacuuming, armor, all interior, all under the complete covered area so that your car stays cool while they make it sparkle and shine. For a limited time, they're inviting you to try the full-service option for half price. It's normally $40, but you can get $20 off if you tell them that I sent you, David Nuño. So make sure you jump on that. Full service, guys. And the giveaway. Does somebody want to try that full-service car wash at the new location at Aggie Land Car Wash? I'm giving away one right now. That's a $40 value. Caller number 12. Give us a call right now at 979-693-1150. You're going to get yourself a $40 value there from Aggie Land Express Car Wash. Super short segment here. So this is what I want to do. I want to tease what we're going to do at 10 o'clock. All right, so I want people involved in this one. Nick, you're involved. Callie, you're involved, okay? And callers, texters, you're involved. I want you guys to name the teams that you want to destroy in 2024 football in order and why. And it's got to be top three, right? So we'll go in reverse order. Who your number 3 team is. I need a reason. Your number 2 team, who you want to destroy. Obviously, I think a lot of us have one team in mind. But let's expand that list, right? Let's get 3 teams that you want to destroy and the why behind it. All right, we'll get into that in the next segment. I also want to get into, I just saw SEC Mike tweet out something from Athlon that's an interesting little soundbite about Texas A&M football, so we'll talk about that on the other side, and we've got some other news in the SEC shaking, so we'll get to all that in the next hour. But who do you want to destroy? We'll do it next on TexAgs. All right, we're back on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So open segment here before we talk to the Association of Former Students about some cool things they got going on, and then we'll close out the show with John Scheschuk. Just found out that Scott Livingstone will be in studio tomorrow morning, so looking forward to that. I think we're flipping around baseball bunch. I'll get that kind of formulated here in the next little bit. Just if you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways, 979-693-1150. You call that number. You can text that number. You can chat us on the YouTube page. You can chat us on texags.com. And, of course, you can tweet at us at all times. I did tease what we're going to talk about this segment, and I want Nick a part of it. I want Callie a part of it. I want the callers and listeners a part of it, the texters, 979-693-1150. I want you to give me your order of teams that you want to destroy, reverse order, right? 3, 2, and 1. Who's number 3, why? Who's number 2 and why? And number 1 and why? So let's do that here this segment, and I want to hear from you folks. I know Callie will get to those text messages in a moment. So let's go to Nick Savage first. Nick, give me your order, your 3-piece
So
order.
am I like not allowed to say Texas?
You can say Texas, I don't care.
Okay.
But like, I think we're all going to say Texas, so that's why I made it a 3-piece.
Sorry, TU. Yeah, thanks, Richard. Before I get yelled at. Anyways.
They're 2. They're number 2 because Tennessee is actually the real UT. Sorry.
Yeah.
TU.
Let's go. I could troll and just say McNeese just to troll Brawny, but I'm not going to. Let's go number 3. I don't know, man. I'll take Missouri
first?
at home.
Okay, Missouri
number
at home.
3 because
Okay.
they're that's most likely going to be a good game.
Okay.
They got, if I remember correctly, a pretty easy schedule coming in. So I'll go number 3, Missouri at home. I'll go number 2. We'll go Notre Dame. And then number 1, Texas.
Why Notre Dame 2 and why Texas?
Because that would be such a, momentum swing behind Coach Elko and the new staff and such a tone setter for the season. It would definitely give us hopes because if you look at that, you beat Notre Dame and you probably feel pretty good about going into that Missouri game on October 5th. What's that, 5-0? Yeah. So
you're just guaranteeing you go on the road and win your first road game at Florida.
Wouldn't you agree? Because you're not very high on Florida as well. So
I'm not high on Florida, but I'm getting a little
worried. Well,
no,
not worried. But
people are pretty high on Graham Mertz and what Billy's going to be able to do this year, which is weird because like 2 weeks ago people were not. So I don't know. It's just talking season and people were presenting information of Billy Napier's got this confidence level with this Florida team, and so I don't know, but I do expect for A&M to win that road game because if things will look real interesting, if not, because you don't get another opportunity until a little bit more than a month later. Callie, your 3-piece, please go.
Okay, I'm gonna go at number 3. I'm gonna go Auburn.
Give me your reason. I like it.
Well, I think if I could do 4, I would do Notre Dame at 4. But I don't feel the need to put Notre Dame in my top 3 because I think I want all 3 of them to be SEC teams because that would set us up for the most success for SEC championship. However, I do agree with Nick on the Notre Dame game being a tone setter for the season. But I think Auburn, just with that being the road game right before the Texas game, I think that would take us into a lot of positive momentum. And I mean, we seem to struggle at Jordan-Hare. So I think I would like to see us just go in there and run them into the ground. And 2, I'll do home against LSU. I just think that's if you're an Aggie, you don't really like the Tigers. And then 1, obviously, the home game against Texas. I mean, honestly, I might say Texas for all 3 of them. Like, I just want to beat them.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we got to get baseball to win this weekend. And we got to just, softball, so close.
So close.
All right, here's my 3-piece. I'm going with LSU as number 3, excuse me. And the reason they're number 3 is if you look at that schedule, what do you think A&M, if you want to talk about best case scenarios are undefeated entering that game, right? But let's talk about realistic expectations. Maybe have a loss if things go the way we are hoping they go. Hopefully not 2, right? So you go into that game potentially feeling good about yourself at 6-1 because you got winnable road games. Missouri, obviously, I don't know how good they're going to be this year, but they're a top 10 team. That's not none of these games, none of them. Notre Dame, obviously not. But I'd say that plus you had last year's game with Jalen Henderson, 3/4 of that game. Entering the fourth quarter, you were winning. You had momentum all of the first half. So you let that one get away from you. You take that one. And for them, if you look at LSU's schedule, they're probably going to lose the week before to Ole Miss, and they're going to have a really good start to their season, right? They could come in to that at 6-1 at that point. But let's say they lose to Ole Miss, and then they got A&M. They lose there, boom. And then you got Bama right after that. Could be a 3-game losing streak after starting the season pretty high. That's if you expect them to win their non-conference games against USC and UCLA. So that stretch of the season for LSU will define it. It'd be great to destroy them and Harold Perkins for his decision. So that's 3. Number 2, Notre Dame. And you know all the reasons for it. Elko's first game, taking on his former quarterback. It's a knock on the door. Hey, we're here. This is a different era of college football. I'm going with Notre Dame. They're at number 2. Get all that national attention. Perfect opportunity to tell the world We are legit this time. We are for real here. And then number 1, Texas. And all I got to do is go back to that soundbite from earlier, the arrogance that I see on social media. And, you know, there's Alabama's not that arrogant. And they're arrogant, but they're not that arrogant. And that's the difference, right? Like, to me, that is the difference. Like, Alabama set a tone for the SEC for a long time, and I had my issues. There's no doubt. You know, Ryan Fowler and I went back and forth before. Like, there's definite issues there, but there was a class to their arrogance at times that I don't feel when it comes to what I've seen from Texas. And, you know, and the obvious reasons. My wife went to Texas. My dear friend Raheel went to Texas. There's bragging rights involved in that, but Texas for the arrogance, to me, would be your number 1. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Callie, what are the people saying?
They're all kind of lining up with everything we're saying, getting a lot of Notre Dames, a lot of LSUs, a lot of TUs.
Any compelling reasons for the order?
Well, yeah, so Madden in Houston kind of agrees with Nick, said Notre Dame at 3, LSU 2, TU at 1. He says Notre Dame sets the tone for the season, hates LSU, and there's no need for the explanation for the last team. And then Jay says, who do I want to destroy? Number 3, TU. Number 2, TU. Number 1, TU. How do Aggies not get this? Go through Aggie ring in the Brazos if you don't agree. So I was on your side. We're just getting a lot of, I mean, someone says to get even with them from the Cotton Bowl games, at Notre Dame, and then LSU helps with recruiting, which is true. Says they're a disgusting fan base, and if we can get the win over LSU at home, that would help with all the recruiting that we take out of this area. But yeah, lots of all TUs, which I can't help but agree with.
Well, look, let's just hope we're in a position to destroy teams, right? Like, it is so hard to switch off the Aggie thinking based on the prior few years, right? It's almost impossible to, like, there's going to be some of you that, like I told you about the guy that I talked to at the gym the other day who said that A&M was going to go 11-1. I hope you're right, sir. I do. But there's a hard part, like, of getting there until you win on the road, right? So your first 3 weeks of the season could set a tone, not just Notre Dame. Those first 3 weeks, put up that schedule again for me, Nick, please. Those first 3 weeks of the season set a huge tone for what the remainder of the year looks like, because you could be going into the Arkansas game potentially undefeated under that thinking, right? And I think, you know, that series always is tight, but A&M wins it, right? So if you can beat Notre Dame, and again, a huge if, you should beat McNeese, and then if you beat Notre Dame, I'm going to feel much better about at Florida, much better. But if you lose to Notre Dame, then those questions about winning on the road are going to be even louder come Florida week, right? Because that then is a different Bowling Green. You're going to take care of business. Don't be 2-2 heading into that Arkansas game. Don't be 3-2 heading into that Missouri game. Be 4-1, 5-0. And at that point, hopefully we'll know a little bit more about Missouri. So to me, the order of how we get there is all based on, my disdain for programs and just what it means in the landscape of SEC football. So SEC Mike tweeted this out a moment ago. It's not his work. It's Athlon Sports, right? And he says, from an anonymous coach in the SEC, this is what they're saying there. Mike Elko was a fantastic hire. He has a ton of respect in this league and across the industry. He knows the program firsthand, and he's not going to worry about anything other than finding ways to win. It's going to be a night and day culture change at the head coaching position. Okay, so that's part of what he says, right? Here's the other part. There's a lot of turnover coming from Jimbo Fisher's NIL mercenary-type culture to what Elko wants. How about that? That is, I just think that's the NIL mercenary-type culture to what Elko wants. Now, I don't believe it was that, because I know time has passed, and I'm sure NIL was a bigger deal than what we thought, but not what Saban was saying, and the sliced bread and all that. I don't know that to be necessarily true. I do believe the culture change. I do believe the focus, the direction, the streamline, the organizational skills that Coach Elko brings to the table, his humbleness, right? He's just a football coach, but he gets it. I don't know why I said gets it like that, but he does gets it. He does get it. And I think that is all part of what we're seeing here, the change there. So think about that. Respect in the league. I hope Jimbo had respect in the league. Knows firsthand the program, or knows the program firsthand. Absolutely. We know that to be true. He was just here. And it's going to be a night and day culture change at the head coaching position. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to talk about culture change with empowering your assistants, and night and day culture change in here are my expectations for my team, right? And this is how we're going to do business. And if you don't do business like this ain't the place for you. And where is that going to be the most apparent? Nick, I'll ask you, Callie. Where do you think we're going to feel that culture change the most? There's many answers you can give here, but I'm thinking of one in particular. Callie?
Are you talking about like on the coaching staff or
yeah.
offensive line?
That is a excellent answer. I'm thinking of a different one. Nick, what are you thinking?
Offense in general, I think that would be my pick.
All yes answers. Offensive line, like you're not wrong, is what I'm thinking of something different, but you're not wrong. There's not a wrong answer here. The offensive line is the most important part of this team, and I've said that many, many times, right? I've said that in the prior regime. I'm saying it now. That is, to me, what is going to make or break this SEC season for A&M football. No doubt about it. But to me, it's the Tommy Moffitt angle, right? The guy who's with them every day in the weight room. The guy who sets a tone in the spring. A guy who sets a tone in the summer. The expectations for growth. Scientific approach. A no-nonsense approach to the weight room. That mindset in the gym, I feel like I'm talking angry. Does it come across angry?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank
Passionate.
you. Passionate. That mindset in the gym, though, translates into everything that they do. So to me, that is the difference maker. And of course, the CEO, the guy ahead of it all, approves it, sets a tone. But who's going to touch them every single day? It's Tommy Moffitt. And I didn't realize, I should have, but I didn't realize like how things have gotten. Because when you think about strength and conditioning, you're thinking about, some of the soft tissue injuries and some of the other. No, it is a mindset that needs to be attributed to everything that they do. All right, so there's that. Callie, I know you had some news and notes to get into. Some things have broken, I should say, in the last hour or so.
Yeah, it's just a really interesting tidbit. According to Ross Dellinger, the 2024 Egg Bowl between Mississippi State and Ole Miss is shifting off of Thanksgiving and onto Black Friday, and they will kick off at 3:30 Eastern on November 29th, televised on ABC. And I was just curious, when they moved the game to Thanksgiving originally, the first game was played on Thanksgiving in 1998 and has since been played 23 times on Thanksgiving. So 2023, for now, has been the last one, and they will shift onto Black Friday, which I'm kind of sad about. I always looked forward to the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving, but I know NFL has a lot of Thanksgiving games too, so not too sad.
So in your childhood, again, I know you're not that old. I don't think you ever got to experience A&M Texas on Thanksgiving. You probably experienced it on Friday, right? Or Saturday?
I know I definitely did once.
Okay.
I don't remember when it stopped being played on Thanksgiving.
I don't either.
Wasn't it like when it was in College Station it was, and then in Austin it wasn't, or was that not a thing?
I feel like, and we can fact. Someone's going to text the show and tell us how stupid we are. But yeah. I'm fairly. I remember my youth, like I'm talking like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. Those years being Thanksgiving Day, and I might be wrong on the actual year, but I remember that, and I remember it a couple times on Friday, and obviously the Saturday games. So somebody can fact check us. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that, but I believe that is the case. What other SEC news do you have for us?
So Auburn men's golf won the national championship yesterday, and this was their best season in program history, and it featured their 5th SEC championship, a 2nd consecutive NCAA regional title, and one of their freshman stars claimed the Ben Hogan Award and the Fred Haskins Award, which is the 2 highest collegiate golf individual honors that one can receive. And there are 2 SEC teams that are set to participate in the Women's College World Series, which kicks off today with Alabama taking on UCLA at 1 p.m. and the nightcap being Florida taking on Oklahoma State at 8:30. And 3 of the student athletes from the SEC were among the 9 recipients of the 2024 NCAA Division I Rawlings Golden Glove Award. That is Florida catcher Jocelyn Erickson, Florida center fielder Kendra Falby, and Georgia second baseman Cindy Kuma.
So you might be right here. Here's according to Google. The University of Texas and Texas A&M have played on Thanksgiving Day 61 out of the 118 times.
2011 they played on Thanksgiving.
I was going to say,
Kelly
I think
right.
that, I was 11 that year. And
so,
I think was on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, 161 out of 118 times. Rivalry became so popular that fans would tailgate. Yeah, we know that. I don't need AI to tell me that.
My question is, are they moving the Egg Bowl off of Thanksgiving to make room for another game to put there? Maybe they move Texas and Texas A&M back to Thanksgiving. That would be my thought.
I have no idea. I always remember hearing that it was the Longhorns that didn't want to play on Thanksgiving. They didn't like the Thursday game. But I mean, I don't know why they would move it off if they weren't making room for something, because I know it's always been a very enjoyable game to watch on Thanksgiving. And every reaction I've seen on Twitter from both fan bases has been negative. They're not happy about it.
By the way, ESPN reported in November that the two teams would play on Thanksgiving weekend, not Thanksgiving.
About the Ole Miss and Mississippi State?
UT visiting A&M on November the 30th.
Yeah. Our date has been set, at least for this year, but who knows, maybe this is something they're trying to move back. I wouldn't be opposed. I don't know. What would y'all be sad about it?
Do I give an answer that resonates with the people, or do I give an answer that resonates with the media? I'll give an answer that resonates with the media, the people. Play it on Thanksgiving Day. As a fan, I want to watch it with my family at home and eat turkey and gig 'em, right? Yes, or go to the game and make that part of my Thanksgiving tradition. The worker in me, I don't mind having Thanksgiving off. I don't mind it. So, all right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with the Association of Former Students. They got a bunch of stuff going on right now. But we're going to talk about gold medal and best in category, classic gin. That would be Hush and Whisper. We're going to talk about them just 6 months after opening their doors. They are already getting recognized for their exemplary craftsmanship. So the ADI, I've told you about them before, the American Distilling Institute, they have a competition, and Hush and Whisper outperformed the competition to medal with each product entered in there. Their original gin earned the gold medal in the best of category. So how about that? Classic gin gets primary flavor from juniper and is often described as London Dry. The gins most people are familiar with are Tanqueray, Beefeater, Bombay Sapphire. They're best known gins in that style. Hush and Whisper drew to inspire from the industry's leader to put on their own flair. They're an innovative distillery, cocktail lounge, founded to defy convention and distill true grain-to-glass spirits there in the Verisco building in downtown Bryan. You want to go this weekend, right? You got a bunch of people coming in for Aggie baseball. What you do Aggie baseball, and then you go hang out with our good friends there at Hush and Whisper. They are the place to go, no doubt about it. I love going there. It is like a 1930s vibe to it. You will love it. You can reserve a tour, a tasting, or just a tasting. You can book an event, meeting, celebration, buy a bottle, experience it at home, or just hang out there. Gin, vodka, white whiskey bottles are all for sale. You can find them, open Thursday through Sunday, Thursday through Saturday, 219 North Main Street. That is 219 North Main Street. Check out the website, hushandwhisper.com. That is hushandwhisper.com. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Time for Around the Association. Scott Walker in the house, the Vice President, Class of 90. Hello, sir.
Howdy, Dave.
Howdy. And Sue Owen, Class of 94, Digital Communications Manager. I've followed you on Twitter for a long time. Happy to finally meet you.
Lovely to meet
I left you hanging there. Good to see you.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of stuff going on. I feel like football season is such a grind, and you guys are so busy. And then the spring semester comes, and of course we get to take time out. Oh no, we have a bunch of more sports and a bunch of other stuff going on. Talk to us a little bit about it.
Yeah, spring is super busy for us, coming out of a great spring. Class reunions, Aggie Ring Day, largest Aggie Ring Day in history. 7,100 rings in that order. All sorts of awards that the association sponsors, awards for students like the Buckwires Spirit Award, which is very unique in that it's the only award specifically for involvement and leadership. Awards for professors, awards for staff, of course the Distinguished Alumnus Awards, which are the highest honor bestowed upon a former student of Texas A&M. Coaches Nights, so we've done 5 of the 6. We got 1 left in San Antonio coming up. Commencements, we go to every commencement, we shake every hand. 12,000 students graduated, and if you walked across that stage this spring, then you shook the hand of somebody from the association. So it's great, a lot of engagement. Aggie Park's always hopping. There's always something going on in Aggie Park now. It's great.
Let me follow up Coach's Night quickly. How cool has it been with Coach Elko to kind of get to know him and his style and how accommodating and nice he is?
Very unlike any football coach we've ever worked with on Coach's Night before. Have you gotten to a Coach's Night this year?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So his thing is he basically just says, ask me anything. You know, his remarks are about this long, and then it's just ask me anything. I'll stand here and answer questions till y'all are done with me. It's a refreshing approach, and he's seems very realistic about what the expectations are. So we'll see what happens.
She's really busy, right? Like,
oh man,
features galore.
Yeah.
So, what are some things that you're working on? And I know we want to kind of get deep into them.
Oh, sure. We've done this new thing. I'm calling them enterprise stories for the association, where we just dig deeper into something.
Okay.
Dig into the research. I personally have this thing where I love to find out how Aggie traditions started and how they've changed over time. I think that's really valuable for all of us. You know, we reflect. Things actually do change at A&M sometimes.
People feel like that we don't evolve, but we do.
But we do.
Yeah.
Silver Taps used to be one of the first of these feature packages, and we're doing them with a big, nice online presentation so you can really go through them and share them with people. The history of Silver Taps was something that had never... A lot of Aggie traditions you can kind of look up, but nobody had ever really done the history of Silver Taps. And actually this guy here said, go ahead and dig into that. And it took me about 6 years, off and on, mostly off. But, you know, the history of Silver Taps had never been told. And that was the first one of these enterprise features that we launched online.
I would add to that, there's a lot of things that we think we know about Texas A&M's history when it comes especially to our traditions. Things that we learned at fish camp or through campusology or whatever. And none of that really had historic support. And so we wanted to find out when really was the first Silver Taps.
Right.
Not the story we all heard, but what can be supported by evidence. When was the first muster?
And believe it or not, a lot of new evidence comes up. The digitization of all the battalions, which... a lot of things like that you can find, like new information is coming up. So we're not just we're presenting new findings.
You know, it's interesting too because I get, but why, Daddy? And I don't have the answer sometimes, right? Like, but
I'm
why,
your girl.
Daddy? Right? So, how great is it to have her on staff too?
Yeah. Oh man. So I call her my truth-seeking fact missile. I aim her at a topic and mash that launch button and she comes back and says, okay, actually, the first muster on campus the first Silver Taps was, we learned this really cool thing about the rivalry with A&M. And so it's fantastic. It's a unique thing. I don't know that there's anybody else in the world who is spending as much time as she does digging into the history of Texas A&M, the association, Texas Aggies, and our traditions.
Well, and I like the soft side, the goofy traditions side, kind of. Like Scott asked me one time to find out when we started whooping, because people think that things have happened for forever.
When did we start whooping?
The late 60s. It started with people like cavalry people going, whoa! And that's what Aggies from the 60s will do. If you ask them to whoop, they'll go, whoa! And then it evolved in the 70s and 80s into whoop! That's a whole. That was probably too loud.
So
sorry.
No, do it again.
What was the original horse laugh? Right.
Oh,
we
right.
hiss now.
Right.
But the original horse laugh. I'm gonna make you do it.
I went and videoed a bunch of the class of '54 guys doing it.
That's what it was.
My hand. Yeah.
Yes.
It's funny. Like, there's a lot of these stories that I know, but I don't know. Like, like I know it, but then I start telling the story. I'm like, wait, I don't really have like the facts to back up what I'm talking about.
Okay, so in the rivalry story, this is actually one thing that I tried to do because I was looking back through. I was like, let's do the soft side of the rivalry, the off the field stuff. And there's mascot nappings, there's nicknames, there's all sorts of stuff. And a lot of our younger people did not live through this. I lived through this, So I was almost trying to kind of arm people. Okay. Like, here are some of the myths. Here are some of the things you've forgotten about. Like, I had completely forgotten that the UT Hex Rally was a thing where they lit red candles and tried to hex us. Right?
That's a real thing?
That was a real thing. That happened for many years. So you can go to the online package. There's a picture of it. There's proof.
Yeah.
There's some myths like, Bevo did get barbecued, but it wasn't us.
Okay.
We
can prove this.
We can prove this. They admit it. We have in the package. There's an invitation. University of Texas invited us to them barbecuing Bevo because Bevo had gotten too expensive.
So there's an actual invite.
There's an actual invitation in the package.
Wow.
So we didn't steal him and barbecue him.
Correct.
We were invited to.
Right. He had been.
Usually when I go to barbecues, I'm not cooking the barbecue. I just thank you for the steak or the burger. Right. Like I'm there.
Yeah.
And then there's I tried to pull out these cool tidbits too and give people ammo, right? We're going back into this thing. So like all Longhorns like to throw at us that we're like they're in our fight song. Well, people have forgotten or Aggies don't know what the first lines of their fight song are. I will not do them here because I cannot sing those words correctly.
But it talks about a certain awesome university.
It talks about a university down the road, yes.
Mm-hmm. I know not everybody's necessarily excited about the rivalry resuming, but the fact is, it is resuming.
I think there's excitement, but there's like mixed emotions to it, right? Like we enjoyed life without the neighbor, but all right, now let's just beat him up.
Yeah.
I really wanted to, that's one of the things I kind of want to do is give talking points and remind us of some of the cool stuff. Like in the online package, there's video of what was called at the time the loudest game in Kyle Field, 1985, when the 12th man, the roar of the 12th man, stopped that game, halted that game 3 times because, and you know all about this, I'm sure. It's still called one of the loudest games in Kyle Field ever, and we've got video of that. And then as we were talking to people for this story, one of the things that kept coming up was the emotion around the bonfire game, and people they're like that halftime. That was really a great moment, and we've got video of that in the package too. And none of us have watched it without songing up a little bit. It was really a touching moment.
David, part of our mission is to. As the way we say it is, perpetuate the ties of affection and esteem formed in university days. We went to A&M, nearly all of us had a great experience, and we left with really positive feelings, and we want people to remember that. That's what we mean by perpetuate the ties. And these kinds of stories are helping us do that, helping us remember why we love Texas A&M and how it changed us and the things that we share, right? We all share these traditions and these values, and so Sue does a great job.
Yeah,
she was built for this. She was born for this. This is what she was born to do.
So I feel like I can tell people, and I know the power of the Aggie ring, but I don't know if I give it justice the way you can and the way your research. Can you go a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah, absolutely, and that was a project we launched in between Silver Taps and this rivalry project was the Aggie ring. The power of this ring, to me, is that it has looked the same for nearly 100 years and that we all wear it throughout our entire lives. That's the symbolism is very rich. The personal meaning to most people, it turns out, is I earned this. And then the part of the value of it to me is that we all wear the dang thing, and we have been. So you travel around Texas or the world for the last 100 years, you can see this. And it doesn't matter what the person's wearing. They can be in uniform. They can be wearing a Hawaiian shirt on vacation. But you see this and you make a connection. That, to me, and if we didn't wear them our whole lives, that doesn't happen. It's this. It's a neat benefit of being how we are.
Every Aggie I know, every single one, has been somewhere where they did not expect to be stopped
London.
Because of their Aggie ring.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And you could be anywhere. I remember when I moved to San Diego, having like within the first day, somebody stopping me, "Hey, you're an Aggie." Like it is powerful, and we sometimes we live it every day. We don't stop and think about it.
One thing we're trying to do with these too is we're trying to collect stories. So we got some stories like that about the Aggie ring. We'll run things on our website, aggienetwork.com sometimes, where we'll say, tell us about this, put some bones on this, tell us what midnight yell practice means to you, things like that. And we're hearing from some really, really red-ass Ags.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to be in touch with people who care. So check us out occasionally and come fill out some of our surveys, and you might wind up in one of the stories.
Scott, you guys are still expanding, looking for people to join your team.
We are, man. And we have great jobs, don't we, Sue?
We do.
I mean, this is our day. We get to talk about this stuff all day. We live and we swim in all this stuff, and it's fantastic. The association is a great place to work. We've got jobs for mid-career professionals, people that want to come back to Aggieland. We got jobs for entry level. We got jobs for students. Great place for students to work. You get all the benefits of being a university student worker, even though we're not part of the university. So, for example, our student assistants get to register early for classes, just like the student assistants on campus do. And plus you get to meet a lot of cool people like Sue and, former students, and it's just a great place to work. And I signed on 17 years ago, and I thought it was my transition job just to get back to this town.
Yeah.
And so I figured, I'll do this for a year until I find, something else. Here we are, 17 years later, and,
right?
And I'm locked in, man. So I'm a lifer at this point.
Yeah.
It's great. So yeah, aggienetwork.com, tx.ag/association careers will take you to the list of the currently open jobs.
Sue, remind us where we can get your work.
Oh, if you'll head to the aggienetwork.com homepage, you should be able to navigate. It should come up right in front of you.
Bring her back, all right? Especially as we get closer to the Texas game. This was great. Thank you both for coming in.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate you. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with John Scheschuk, to talk a little Aggie baseball, that and more next on TexAgs Radio. I didn't even have to tell the folks. Keep it playing for a second. Top strut, baby. Fat Pat. I didn't even have to tell the people at Bryan Broadcasting. John Scheschuk joining us here on TexAgs Radio. Buddy, it's your theme music. Like if you were a wrestler, this is what you're coming into.
Hey, man, Fat Pat wins titles. We say it every week. Cordell Lindsay adopted that song in 1999, got us all the way to Omaha. So we're going to keep it rolling. Keep the mojo rolling this morning, Dave.
Are you coming to town this weekend?
Actually, I'm not. My son plays and I coach his team. He's a young guy and I coach his team. So I can't be there, which stinks. Monaco had sent out a note asking about the radio broadcast to the usual suspects. And unfortunately, I can't be there, but I'll be watching for sure.
I know you will. So we all knew it was coming. The regional was set. We knew Texas would end up being here. Now that all the teams are set, what do you think?
I think it's great for the fans. I mean, shoot, Texas is what that is. And, coming off the softball loss, that stung for sure. That stung me to see that loss. But I'm excited to get the opportunity to play them. I think we're a better team than them. And I invite the opportunity to play them with it all on the line. I think the Aggies will prevail. And Louisiana, excuse me. That's a good program, has been for years. Those guys are spunky and they'll be ready to play. They haven't had the runs to Omaha per se, but they're always going to be solid and compete for sure. And then Grambling, that is what it is. I mean, that's somebody A&M should take care of on Friday.
So Schloss, I was going to say Schoss. Schloss was on the show earlier, and he said this before, but today I really held on to it about his idea of seeding 1 through 64 and just having 32 regionals where it's the best of 3, right? Unfortunately or fortunately, however you see it, we have this set of circumstances for the regional. Do you like the format with the 3 teams coming to town and also some of the chess pieces that you have to move in order to make sure you're ready to play the entire thing because you can't go all in on one game?
Yeah, I heard him talking earlier in the week about I'm here to win the weekend, not just one game. I think that might have been on Sunday when you guys talked to him, or Monday. And I understand that completely, his concern about, does the best team always win in this scenario? Maybe not, because you might have a situation where you do get off kilter with your pitching staff, and that leads to some different scenarios throughout the weekend. So I understand if you play 2 out of 3, in theory, the best team should win that weekend because the most depth will win. Your pitching matchups are consistent. You can't have somebody just fake it through a 3-game weekend. So I do understand that. Now, as a fan, I like the regional. I think it's fun. Of course, in my day, there was 16 regionals, which that complicated it even more because you really had to have a lot of pitching depth, and you were going to have to depend on guys that traditionally hadn't gotten you there throughout the year. So I understand his position on that, but as a fan, I do like the 4-team regional format.
All right, so how do you categorize where A&M baseball is right now, considering how good they are at home, no matter when it is, Arkansas a couple weeks back, but also the end of the season, kind of some struggles, neutral site game and Hoover games, and then obviously the road games at LSU and Ole Miss?
I think they're in primo position. So to me, that doesn't change anything as far as their goals. That's all still right out in front of them. And they've been a top 5 team all year long. And I don't think there's any issue with where they are. I don't think what happened in Hoover has any bearing on what's going to happen this weekend at all. Of course, it didn't go the way we wanted it to. But at the end of the day, man, it's a brand new season starting this Friday. They're at home. As you mentioned, they're very good at home. The pitching staff's lined up appropriately, and they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I hope so, man. And talk about your career, where how you played necessarily in the conference, not you personally, but just the team playing the conference tournament, how that affected potentially how you played at a regional and beyond.
Yeah, I think they're independent. Now, I was always of the mindset, if we're going to a conference tournament, let's win it. But the reality is that the same discussions were happening way back then that are happening now. It really doesn't mean a ton for somebody like Texas A&M as it relates to seeding, as it relates to hosting. They've completed that work throughout the year. So it didn't have a huge impact on them. From a psyche perspective, I think the players are good enough to flush that, and I think they'll be ready to go. So, nothing's really changed over time. The conference tournament has always been what it is. If you need it, you got to go out there and win it. There's a different urgency level there. If you don't need it, there is some, I won't call it complacency, but that your future is still secured as it relates to seeding and hosting, et cetera. So maybe you're not as hungry as one of those teams who does need to go on a run.
Look, while I am concerned that they didn't win as many games as they were winning in the beginning of the season, some things do hold true. This is a fantastic team at home. They took on a bunch of aces. And also, I just think, like, the way this team plays the game, right? Like, there's so many different pieces that can show up. I can't imagine any of these pitchers that are not SEC pitchers being able to hold Braden Montgomery, Jace Lavalette, Gavin Grahovic, Caden Sorrell, the whole gang, right? I can't, Teddy Burton, you name it. Like, I just can't imagine a scenario where those guys aren't just, hitting the ball across the park.
I totally agree with that. And it's weird because they didn't struggle all year until the last month. And so the timing on that struggle, and I use the term struggle loosely, they lost a couple series to SEC teams on the road. This is not shocking. I mean, that happened all year long in our league. So the timing of it kind of stinks because it's later in the year. But most teams, David, are going to go through that period where they have the ups and then they have the downs and then they level out and go. Timing is kind of weird for the Aggies, but I don't think that changes anything that you just described. I mean, look at who they ran through in the SEC schedule. Look who they ran through on the out-of-conference schedule. I mean, their record was literally impeccable on out-of-conference, and they did a lot of that at home. Then you go through Auburn, you go through Mississippi State, you go through Vanderbilt, you go through Georgia, top 8 national seed. You go through Arkansas, top 8 national seed. There's been a ton of winning that's happened there at Olsen Field, and I'm with you. I don't see anything that would suggest anything otherwise this weekend or next if they get there.
Talking to John Scheschuk here on TexAgs Radio. Let's talk a little bit about this team is young, right? Like, I mean, there's I don't want to say a lack of experience, but there's not a ton of experience there with some of the younger players, let's say. And I asked Schloss, and he wasn't worried about that at all because they went through the gauntlet that is the SEC.
That's right. And you also have Braden Montgomery, who's been there a couple times already. And, he's on record as saying, look, our goal is to win a natty. I heard him say that way back at the first pitch banquet. You've got Coach Schlossnagle. That alone is an experience level factor that is going to have an influence on this weekend. I mean, he's been in a lot of these. He's been to Omaha numerous times. So, he's going to be able to lead the ship that way. So I would agree with that. I don't think a lack of experience in regional play is going to have any issue or bearing on this team. Like you mentioned, the talent level from top to bottom, 1 through 9 in that order is going to be greater than each of the teams that they play this weekend. And that alone should prevail.
How important is it going to be for them to be selective with their pitches? Because when they're at their best, they walk a lot. And when they walk a lot, they hit a lot of home runs. I feel like those things go together with this team.
Yeah, I mean, on-base percentage is a critical component. That's why it's tracked. Because once you get on base, if you get free bases especially, and you have the depth of the lineup and the power in the lineup that A&M has, you are going to score runs. And in contrast, from a pitching perspective, you're playing opponents that don't have that kind of a depth from a lineup perspective. You have to throw strikes against those guys. So it's the opposite. When you're on defense, throw strikes. They hit a 1-run bomb, who cares? Just don't give them the 3-run bomb through walks or errors. And if you can control that while you're on defense, then you're going to be successful because those other teams just don't have the firepower that the A&M offense has.
Talking to John Scheschuk here. All right, so Schloss didn't tell us just yet. He's going to tell us probably this afternoon. What do you think the rotation is going to look like this weekend?
Man, it's hard to say because that first game is so important. I mean, I know they're playing a Grambling team that is, not the norm. So is he going to go with his second or third guy? My guess is yes. I would assume he saves Prager for that game 2 matchup, which is a critical matchup. But which way he goes today, I don't know if it's Sadeo. I don't know if it's Lampkin. I don't know which route he would take there. But my gut tells me that's what he'll do. But again, it's tricky because, man, you have to win game 1. But then, as you know, game 2 is the true critical game. Because if you win game 1 and 2, you are really in the driver's seat. Now, we've seen some double dips in A&M history. And I don't want to bring anything negative up for the past, but we have seen that happen. But my guess would be that he goes with either a second or third guy today, and then he gets into Prager tomorrow against whoever wins that other game.
John, let's play out this scenario here. So I assume A&M is going to win game 1. I'm just going to assume that for this conversation piece. And then Texas and Louisiana are going to have a tight game. Whoever wins there, hopefully they're using their aces. Hopefully they use some guys, right? Because that's such a critical game for them. That might be the most important game for those teams. Yeah. You do not want to be 0-1 knowing that you could potentially face A&M in an elimination game down the road, right? So that being said, that's the perfect scenario based on this with these set of teams, right? Having a strong 2 and a strong 3. In this case, not SEC teams, obviously, getting them there for game 2.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, you want them to battle it out and shoot. You want that thing to go extra innings. You want them to use all their arms up. So that way on Saturday, A&M's got them a little more depleted. And in contrast, whoever Coach Schloss decides to throw in game 1, you want to make sure that person can get deep and preserve that bullpen and have, all the bullets ready to go on Saturday when the Aggies face either Louisiana or the University of Texas. Now, as a fan, I hope they play Texas. I want that to happen because, again, I think A&M's got to have the mindset of we're going to beat them. But you also don't want to get too emotional with the rivalry. It's just another baseball game at the end of the day. But as a fan, it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no doubt about that. John Scheschuk here with us for one more question. So Billy reminded me yesterday that Oregon, because I'm over here thinking if A&M gets past this, Super Regional to me is a favorable matchup. And I still say that, but he reminded me that Oregon hosted a Super Regional last year, and those are some good teams on the West Coast. That being said, my whole point is if A&M is able to get through this hurdle, which is a huge hurdle, and I'm not I think they will, but it's a hard one, right? If they are able to, I like the matchup with the Santa Barbara Regional just because you have a chance to get to the College World Series if you take care of business, not taking on an SEC team until you get to Omaha.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. You got Santa Barbara, San Diego, Oregon, and Fresno State. Of course, Fresno State's won a title. Oregon's been a great program for a long time. San Diego as well. And you see Santa Barbara, they're the number 1 seed. But I do agree with you. There's a lot of factors there, too. You've got humidity, and don't discount that. That's a big deal. When you're coming from the West Coast and you're rolling into College Station in June, there's going to be some pain felt there. But one thing about West Coast baseball is they're very disciplined. It's a different approach than what you see in the SEC. You're going to see bunting. You're going to see more traditional baseball. They're going to put you in positions to where you have to play defense. And those teams can kind of be pesky that way. So I do agree with you. I think it's a great fit for A&M and a great matchup for A&M. And we'll see how it all unfolds. It's going to be exciting.
Great stuff, John. Thanks, brother. Talk to you soon.
You bet. Have a good day. See you, man. Fat Pat.
Yeah, you got it. Dermdoc tells us that was Jonathan Maroney used to use that as his walk-up song in 2016. So there you go. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with one tiny segment. Got to talk about Schulte Roofing, an award-winning roofing company that provides industrial, commercial, residential services to Belleville, Brenham, Bryan-College Station, Conroe, Montgomery, Navasota, San Antonio, the Woodlands, and the surrounding counties, which means the world because it's Schulte Roofing, the home of the bulletproof roof guarantee, the industry's absolute best roofing system, roof installation, warranty, and 100% satisfaction guarantee or your money back. You know how when you go to a restaurant, you can tell if it's any good by how many people are there? You can tell that Schulte Roofing is the best because how many of your neighbors use them to get their roofs installed, or the amount of trucks you see around the Brazos Valley going to different installs. That's because they're the best out there. They've been around since 1994. They're a 100 top roofing company and are recognized by all the top leaders out there. You can call them up at 1-800-4ROOF, 1-800-4ROOF, or directly go to the website, schulteroofing.com. That is schulteroofing.com. So I found this out about my 13-year-old daughter. I probably shouldn't say this on the air. Let's just say she's a huge fan of Top Gun, and the new one and the old one. Callie, you a big fan of the new one?
I love the new one.
Why? I want to hear your reason. I think I know the answer.
I can't
Is
say
it the main guy?
No, it's the main villain. He's not a villain, but he's
the goose guy. The goose is
yes.
The goose guy?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, it's not the
Moose?
It's not the guy that was in the movie recently with Sydney Sweeney. You know
I
what I'm
forgot
talking
he's
about?
in it too.
That guy.
That Jack dude.
Y'all are
yeah.
talking about Miles Teller.
Wait, Miles Teller was not in the movie with Sydney Sweeney.
No, I know.
The other guy.
The other guy.
Oh my goch, what is his
Sorry,
name?
I completely screwed everybody up. But
Okay, we'll continue that on the rewind. I got to read this real quick. It's time to end the day with Double Dave's. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way.
Glenn Powell.
Yeah, Kay Nagley has reliably informed me it's Glenn Powell.
He's also, yes, he's in Top Gun Maverick, but
It's
I
about
think
Miles
I
Teller?
should shut my mouth. What? You continue talking, David.
By the way, Fantastic Four, the remake, like 6 years ago, had Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller in it. I think. I might be wrong there. I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Probably.
I just talked and maybe I said something wrong. All right, tomorrow on the program, Scott Livingstone, Baseball Bunch, Billy Lucci, Olin Buchanan. Bye.